Hi, good morning, late starters. Today we're going to watch a Taylor Schabusiness sentencing. She was found guilty a couple months ago for the murder of her friend slash lover. We're not really quite sure where they're at with that. I don't know. I just say friend slash lover, but I know that they grew up ever since I think it was like middle school or something. She is married, does have a husband. Not really quite sure what her relationship dynamic is like with her husband. Maybe it's like open relationship, maybe it's poly. Who knows? But we're going to listen to the sentencing today. Now, we do have some testimonies. I believe we're going to hear from her grandmother. We're going to hear from her father again, who did testify at her trial. And then we're going to hear from maybe like she has like a friend or a family member and some experts. So they're on a 15-minute break right now, but we're going to start at, I think, the part where the grandmother is going to, part with her grandmother. And then, you know what? They speak pretty slowly, so I am going to speed it up a little bit. And, we're not too far behind, but we're going to start watching that. And I'm going to have my breakfast here because I haven't eaten yet. As you guys can know, I just woke up. I had just washed my face. I haven't done much yet. So took my dog out. He's hanging out. He just had his delicious breakfast. But yeah, we're going to listen to Taylor Schabusiness. This is also stuff for the sentencing. Now, she's already found guilty. They're just trying to figure out, I guess, whether or not she's going to be eligible for parole in the future and then maybe come out of jail, live a normal life possibly. But yeah, let's see what happens. Hi, Chopper. Hi, gamer girl. Hello, hello. What's on her face? I don't know. I don't know if maybe she's sick or it's possible maybe she doesn't want people reading into her facial reactions. I'm not really quite sure what's going on there. I'm like, the fabric kind of looks like that tent material. I don't know. It's not like a face mask or anything. Maybe she's cold. It doesn't look like a scarf material, but I have no idea. Hey everyone. Hey Betabot. Lori, good morning. Yeah, we're gonna just hop into it, and again, I am gonna speed up a bit because they do speak kind of slow. And let me know if I need to slow it down or anything like that. It's a spit mask. Hi Alice. How's it going? Yeah, they're on a 15-minute break right now. I'm just gonna scroll this side over, and yeah, we're not too far behind. We'll catch up.
Be by me, so I told her to go ahead and come down.
Okay. Now,
And that is very close with her grandfather
when Taylor was living with you,
in the basement. They probably
Trying to find it.
because
Coronado, my client's grandmother, habeas
Here
corpus,
we are.
to provide some testimony, and his name is Arturo Coronado.
My thought is, as long as we have witnesses, we should probably take the witnesses first, rather than, and then once the witnesses have all testified, then we can receive argument from counsel. Any objection to that, Mr. Saunders?
No.
Mr. Freilich?
No, Your Honor.
Why is the audio so low? Hold on, give me a second. Audio is low. Let me give it a listen quick.
Witnesses first, rather than, and then once the witnesses have all testified, then we can receive argument from counsel.
Chopper.
Any objection to that, Mr. Saunders?
No.
Welcome.
Mr. Freilich?
No, Your Honor.
All right, that would mean, although we typically start with the state, that would mean we would turn to you, Mr. Freilich, because you're the only one with the witnesses. So if you want to.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why we were starting with the defense first. Okay, so starting defense first, we want to get the witnesses out of the way, and then we'll go to the state. Got it. Chopper, welcome. Thank you so much for the tier 1 membership. Welcome, welcome. Enjoy your emotes. Enjoy your badge. You evolved. Okay, let me know if the audio is good. I boosted up a little bit. It's pretty low.
Call your first witness, you can do so.
Okay, before I do that, Your Honor, if I may, I did receive the independent pre-sentence investigation report. It's lengthy, contains an attached alcohol and other drug assessment. I reviewed that entire document, the evaluation and the report, with my client last evening at the Brown County Jail. We had a lengthy conversation, again, to talk about this case. And with that said, I would call Esther Coronado, my client's grandmother.
Okay. Is she coming in on the Galaxy Tab E?
I believe yes.
Okay, so I'm seeing that on my laptop, but I'm not seeing it on the screen. There we go.
All right. I'll have my notes up here for you guys.
So, are you Ms. Coronado?
yes,
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place you under oath, and then Mr. Freilich is going to have some questions for you, and the prosecutor may or may not have some questions. But I'm going to start by asking you to raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Mr. Freilich, the witness is yours.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Ma'am, you are Esther Coronado.
Yes,
And what is your date of birth?
January 1st, 1942.
Okay. And are you married?
Yes,
Are you married to Juan Coronado?
yes.
And where do you live, ma'am?
Temple, Texas.
And do you know Taylor Denise Schabusiness?
Yes.
Can you see her in? What's that?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe she just wants to hide her facial reactions from maybe the judge or other people or something.
My granddaughter.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Can you see her here in court?
Yes, I do.
You've known her all of your life, correct?
Yes.
What is her father's name?
My father's name?
No.
He did?
No. Taylor's father. What's his name?
Oh, Arturo Coronado.
Okay. That's your son, correct?
Yes.
He testified.
When Taylor was growing up as a young girl, did she live with you in Temple, Texas?
No. When she was growing up, we were in Illinois. And that's where, I took care of her.
You would take care of her when you lived in Illinois?
Yes.
Did you help care for her after she was born?
Yes.
Did there come a time when you moved to the state of Texas?
Yes. It was in 2004.
2004?
Yes.
And is that when you moved to the Temple, Texas area?
And no, we moved back home. Yeah, that's in Singapore.
Did you ever live in Cotulla, Texas?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of fast forwarding, when your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, got a little older, did there come a point in time where she gave birth to a baby?
Yes.
And what's the baby's name?
Mateo.
And where's Mateo right now?
I do wonder though if it was put on abruptly, because if you guys look at her hairs are like everywhere. It looks like someone just like threw it on her, like over her head, because she wasn't able to do it herself because she has like handcuffs on. Excuse me. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just saying her hair looks really messy. I'd be so triggered to have like all these hairs like in front of my eyes.
He's with me.
The child lives with you in Texas?
Yes.
So you're caring for Taylor's child, correct?
Correct.
How old is the child?
He'll be 2 in October 3rd.
Okay. Was there a point in time where your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, went into some kind of therapy or counseling or treatment program and then got released and then came to live with you before the baby was born?
I believe so.
Okay.
I
And
do not know about what happened in Wisconsin. I only know that she wanted to have the baby in Texas with me because I was the only family close to her.
okay. And so she had the baby in Texas, correct?
Correct.
Was that in like October of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And when the baby was born, tell me a little bit about Taylor Schabusiness. Was she interacting with the baby? How did that go? Can you tell me about that?
Yes. Well, she was excited when she found out that about the baby. I know that when she came down, she wanted to be close to somebody, a relative, and so when she had the baby, she was very happy and loved that baby. But it didn't last very long because 24 hours later, CPS came and took the baby away.
When you say CPS, you mean Child Protective Services?
Yes.
Oh my god, I didn't know they took her baby away. I wonder why.
Okay, please continue. We're going to say some more.
The drug stuff?
Yes, I was going to say that after that, well, it was very hard for her. And they had told her that, well, I was there with her when they came and took the baby away, but they said I couldn't bring him home because she was here at home. But she said she would rather go to a shelter so I could bring the baby home. But that didn't happen. She left from the hospital, went to a shelter, but the baby didn't come home to me until a month later.
Okay, so at the present time, you have the baby with you, correct?
Correct.
And you and your husband Juan are caring for the baby, correct?
Correct.
You sent me some photographs of Taylor Schabusiness, your granddaughter, with the baby after the child was born, correct?
Correct.
You sent me some pictures of her rocking the baby, kissing the baby's head, interacting with the baby, snuggling with the baby. Is that fair?
Yes, those pictures of her in the rocker, and that's when they would allow her to go, because he was placed with another family before he came to me, and they would allow her to visit with him with the permission of the court, and the people that were caring for that baby at that time would bring him over, and she would only have a few minutes, an hour.
Someone commented it looks like a male diaper or something. I don't know.
Maybe with a baby, and that's she would spend with him.
Okay. After the baby was born or prior to the baby being born, did your granddaughter Taylor go out and buy clothes for the baby, onesies, outfits, things of that sort?
Yes, she did. She did. We had everything prepared for the baby here at home, and her grandparents, her grandfather and aunt, sent her a crib. We had the clothes, everything. We're waiting for the baby after she was released from the hospital. But she did not come home because CPS would not allow it. We couldn't bring the baby home either. He was placed with another couple, and they told her she had to have to live someplace else. So she went to a shelter, and she was there at a shelter. So I would be able to bring the baby home with me.
Okay.
So she never
why
came
did they
home
take the
with
baby
me
away in the first
after
place?
the baby was born. From the hospital, the next day she went to a shelter, but we did not bring the baby home because
Thanks,
they
Denise.
had placed him with another family.
Okay.
So we had,
But right now the baby is with you, correct?
right now the baby is with me.
And the plan is likely that you're going to have permanent custody or placement of the child with you and your husband, right?
Well, we're adopting him.
Okay.
We're adopting him. Taylor gave up her rights so that I could have a Mateo, because we didn't want him going to anybody else, but to stay in the family.
Sure. Okay. From your observations of Taylor Schabusiness with the baby, did it appear that she was, connected with the baby, or can you give me any feedback on that?
Yes, she was. She loved her baby. She prepared the things for the baby. Because she thought he was going to be
God,
coming
there's so much
home.
shuffling in the
She
background.
was
I don't know
setting
what's
up
going on.
things for him, but he never got to come home, and she didn't get to come home either. Because right from the hospital, she went to a shelter, and we came home, but we didn't bring the baby with us. He didn't come home to us till about a month later.
Okay. Some other questions for you. Do you have a close connection with Taylor Schabusiness, you and your husband Juan?
Yes,
I think you sent some pictures of you and your husband Juan with Taylor Schabusiness in the middle. Is that right?
correct. Yes,
You both love each other very much. Is that fair?
yes. We went to visit her in Wisconsin. That's where we took the pictures, because she had her own apartment. She was doing well, and we went to see her, and that's when we took the pictures.
Okay. When she was living in Wisconsin, was she working at a cheese factory, Saputo Cheese? You remember?
Yes, she was. She was working there. She was doing good. So
I think they mentioned that she actually stopped doing drugs when she was pregnant, if I remember correctly.
after that, I don't know. We communicated back and forth. She would call every week, and then later on, I didn't hear from her for a while until she told me
Maybe not.
that about the baby, and she wanted to come and be with me so she could have the baby. And I told her that would be fine. So she came down to Temple.
Okay. She graduated from high school in Texas, correct?
Correct.
And that was at Cotulla High School?
Yes.
And I looked at some reports and records that she may have graduated in 2016. Is that about accurate?
I think so. I don't remember, but it probably is correct.
And when she was attending Cotulla High School, did she live with you in Texas?
Yes, she did.
Okay. How long did she live with you before she graduated from high school in Texas?
Oh, maybe about a year and a half.
And during the time that she lived with you for a year and a half prior to her graduation, did you note any problems with drug use or other issues?
No. No, I didn't.
She is
I didn't
young.
notice
She's like
Okay.
25.
Okay. And when she lived with you in Texas, was she involved in any kind of sports or activities at all, like soccer or swimming or anything like that?
No, because it was almost her last year. So what she did was she just worked. She got several jobs there, just working maybe like a Dairy Queen. It's a small town. There's not that much work there. So she would work at different places.
Okay. Do you know if she was on any kind of medication?
I know. The grandmother has her son is in jail. Now granddaughter's in jail. The baby has no parents right now because Taylor Schabusiness's baby daddy's also in jail, or her husband, I think. Everyone's just in fucking jail. She's got to carry on the weight of all these fucking people.
At all when she lived with you in Texas before she graduated high school?
I believe so, but I really don't know what kind of medication she was on.
You talked to some probation agents or professional people from the Wisconsin Department of Corrections when the pre-sentence report was prepared, correct? You were interviewed?
Now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When this report was done, did you get interviewed by someone from the Department of Corrections?
No.
Okay.
I got interviewed by three persons that said they they work with you, but I don't know if that was true or not. I don't. But I was interviewed by three, someone that said they worked
13 likes. Thank
for
you.
Okay. Your son is Arturo Coronado, and when he got divorced, did that have an impact on your granddaughter Taylor?
Well, when he got divorced, my granddaughter has been on her own for a while.
Okay. When Taylor's mother passed away in 2009, did that have an impact on Taylor?
Yes, it did, because she had just lost her mother, and a year later, her father remarried, and the person that he married had children of her own. So she was kind of I would say, didn't feel, well, she felt like she lost her mother, and now she was losing her dad because there were other kids involved in there.
Your son got married to a lady named Katie after Marla passed away, correct?
Katie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And did Taylor ever talk to you about the fact that she didn't get along with her stepmom?
Taylor always kept everything to herself. She never said things about people. I know that she didn't feel comfortable. She felt like it was too soon after her mother passed away and her father remarried, and she felt like abandoned.
Damn, her dad remarried a year after he lost his wife. Weird.
And then here she was in a home where there was three children, but one of them I know that lives with the father, but two of them were living there, and her and her brother lived in the basement, and so she just from a nice home that she had, then she ended up living in the basement. But like I said, she never complained to me or said anything. But I went to visit them, and I could see that she felt misplaced, but now other siblings.
Okay. You're aware of the criminal charges and the convictions that resulted after the trial in this case, correct?
Yes, I think so. I don't know too much about it, but yes, I know that they found her guilty and they want her to spend her life.
Because her son, the grandmother, her son, Taylor Schabusiness' dad, was sentenced recently, I think, or he was found guilty recently. I don't know if the sentencing already went through, but I wonder if she also had to also like testify on his behalf as well. Oh my God, poor grandmother.
Jailed, and I think that she has gone through a lot in her short time of being here. She has gone through a lot. There's a lot of things that.
When we looked it up, it was like sex crimes with a minor, something like that. I could look it up again, but yeah, something like that.
She has to losing her mother, her father remarried, then find herself pregnant, and losing her son, and then losing her brother. So that's a lot for a young person to take in.
And ma'am, your granddaughter Taylor Denise Schabusiness, she's 25 years old.
Yes.
She had a brother, Arturo AJ Coronado, correct?
Correct.
And is it your understanding that he passed away or he died in a motorcycle accident on or about July 1st of 2022?
Correct. Yes, right.
Did your granddaughter Taylor talk to you about that after it happened?
No, I know she was very heartbroken, but she was there in Wisconsin. She had lost her baby. She was locked up, and her brother, and that was very hard for her.
Okay. You sent me some pictures of Taylor with her brother AJ, correct?
Yes.
There's a picture of the two of them together with AJ having his hat on backwards. They appear to be happy. Is that fair?
Yes, that's correct.
There was another picture where AJ, Taylor, and your son Arturo were all together as well, correct?
Correct.
Did they all get together with you in Illinois, or was that in Texas? Those pictures, where were they from? Were they from Texas, or?
No, those were pictures when they lived there in Wisconsin.
Okay.
The ones that, the ones with the baby were here in Texas, but the one with her brother and her father, that's when they were living there in Wisconsin.
Are you a close-knit family? Or have you been a close-knit family in the past?
Yes, we've always been very close. I took care of Taylor when she was born, but then we left for Texas, and so when I left her, she was, I would say, maybe about 7 years old or 8 years old, and I would try and see them at least once a year. But then, as the years passed, we weren't able to travel that much, so I hadn't seen her for a while.
Do you know if your daughter visited other family members in Ohio in the past with AJ?
I believe so. When they were young, their mother used to drive to Ohio and take them, but I do not know if later on, as they got older, if they did or not.
Do you know if Marla Coronado would take the kids, AJ and Taylor, to Ohio to visit cousins or aunts?
Right here, I found it. Yeah, this one right here. 2nd degree of sexual assault of a child. There's some stuff going on there. Victim restitution ordered. I think he pled guilty. Yeah, no contest. But yeah, it's all on the if you look up like the Wisconsin courts, where Taylor Schabusiness like case information is, you'll find her dad's stuff as well. I think he also got in trouble for bail jumping. Yeah.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She would take them, to visit her dad and her brother and sister in Ohio.
Your granddaughter Taylor, is she close with your husband Juan, with Grandpa?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, I wonder if Shad's I know like Shad has like a sister and a mom. I wonder if they're going to speak out. I feel so bad for the mom. The mom was the one that found her son's head in the bucket.
Very close with her grandfather.
When Taylor was living with you in Illinois and then later on in Texas when she was going to high school at Cotulla High School, did she listen to you and follow the rules and all of that?
She did listen to me and follow some rules, but sometimes she wouldn't. She wouldn't. I mean, she wanted to do something, but like I said, she wanted to go stay at my friend's house, but I would say no, Dad, let him come and stay here with you. So she did bring a friend of hers to stay overnight by us.
Yeah, we're not sure what the face thing got.
Taylor only lived with me there in Texas for maybe about a year and a half until she graduated from high school. And then she wanted to get back to Green Bay.
Okay. Fair to say that you've always had a close relationship with Taylor, both you and your husband?
Yes, we have. Yes.
You heard about and found out about her involvement with drugs, correct?
Yes, I did. I found out later on because she used to call me, and then for a while she didn't.
We have no idea.
She wasn't calling it anymore. But I try and always try to keep in touch with her. But then afterwards, I found out that she was pregnant, and she asked if she could come down and have the baby over here by me, and I said that would be fine because she didn't have anybody else that she could turn to over there, so she wanted to be by me. So I told her to go ahead and come down.
Okay. Now she's
maybe she got COVID or something.
been found guilty by a jury of first-degree intentional homicide, felony, mutilation of a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault, all felony offenses, all as repeaters. For the first-degree intentional homicide conviction, the Wisconsin law is such that the sentence is life imprisonment, and the issue really is whether she should be given the opportunity for extended supervision or possibility of parole.
Right. I was saying that it doesn't look like she put it on herself because her hair is like kind of like messed up and she had like hair in her eyes, like all in her face and stuff.
Or not. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any input on that issue?
I don't know.
Well, I do. I believe that she has gone, in her short life, she has gone through a lot. And like I said, first losing her mother at the age of 12. Then a year later, her father remarried. And there she felt misplaced there too. Then she went on her own and was doing well. And then all of a sudden, everything started falling apart for her. I don't know what happened in between because we weren't communicating then. But then after she found out that she was pregnant, she wanted to come and be with me. But she wanted to have at least a relative of hers close by. And we were always very close since I took care of her when she was born until I left Illinois in 2004.
Would you agree that your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, needs some drug treatment, some counseling, all of that?
I do believe that she does need some counseling and some help. She needs help.
Do you believe that she has good qualities?
Yes.
What are they?
I believe. She's a very caring person and also very trusting. She trusted people that said they care for her, and actually always she was. What can I say that? She always ended up getting hurt because she trusted people, thinking they cared, but she's always have had the problem that wherever she goes.
I don't know. What do you guys think about the grandma's statement? Like, yes, like Taylor Schabusiness had like a hard life. You know, mother passes away when she's 12. Father remarries at the age of like, I think a year afterwards. Like, yeah, that sucks. And like, you know, we go through shit. We go through adversity, but it's like really on like, I don't know, like what you make out of it, right? Like, it looks like she had like, you know, it sucks to have your mom die at a pretty young age. And then your dad remarries. You feel like you're out of place. And then like fast forward a couple years later, you get pregnant. We don't know why her child was taken away by CPS. I don't think it was mentioned. But I mean, I don't know, to like go so far as like being on like a drug binge and then like decapitating your friend and stuff like that's just too much. Like I don't know if the grandma saying any of this really means much to me.
Well, just use her and she thinks they care, but they don't.
It's just because of how bad the crime was.
They have disappointed her.
Do you believe that your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, should be given the chance to possibly be on parole or extended supervision sometime in the future?
I do believe. I know that she committed a crime, and I know that they want her to pay for it, but I believe that she should have the opportunity to come back to society one time and be with her son.
Okay. Thank you very much. No further questions from me.
Any questions, Mr. Saunders?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Were you intending that she was going to stay on the Zoom, or you can certainly?
I would ask.
Yeah, I don't know, just because of how heinous her crimes were. It wasn't like just a woman where, let's say she was having a really rough life and then had a really, really bad day. And then she just like fucking snapped, okay? She fucking snapped on someone and she wasn't thinking. Like, that's a different story. Like, that will be like, okay, well, let's take into consideration of like what she's been through, like her life and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, she was like on drugs and like she decapitated him and like did some other stuff, the body parts. And this was like hours long and she left the head in the bucket. And I don't know, when they arrested her, it looked like she had like no remorse. And I don't know, it's just like too much. I think there is something like mentally up with her, but I don't know if I could just be like, oh, you know what? She's like this because her mom died when she was 12, right? I don't know. It's too much.
Alerie, Armor spelled Armor.
Okay, the witness is yours, Mr. Fraley.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. You are Valerie Armour?
Yes, I am.
And where do you live?
I live in Dublin, Ohio.
Are you married?
Yes, I'm married.
What's your husband's name?
Brian Armor.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I do. I have 4 children.
Okay. Are you employed, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Where do you work at?
I work at Sun Behavioral Health. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
And what do you do there?
I work inpatient psychiatry with adolescents and adults.
How long have you worked there?
I've worked there for 5 years.
I thought she was an expert.
And
I think
tell
she's
me
a
your
family
educational
member.
background, just briefly.
I have 2 degrees from the Ohio State University. My first degree was a bachelor's of nursing in 1996.
Let's
For
skip
today,
those.
my second.
what's the relationship?
Oh.
Are you also here with your mother?
Yes, I am.
What's her name?
Roberta Connor.
And does she live in Ohio as well?
Yes, she does.
You came here together?
Yes, we did.
And what's the relationship with Roberta and Taylor?
Roberta is Taylor's great aunt. She is the older sister of Taylor's grandfather.
When Taylor was growing up, would you see her periodically in Ohio? Would she come to visit in Ohio?
Yes, she would.
Tell me a little bit about that.
One of the couple visits that I remember in particular, one was in the summer of 2001 when we were going through my grandfather's house. He had passed away in May 2001, and we gathered as a family to get together and go through belongings. Taylor was 3 at that time, and AJ was a baby.
And was there a picture of Taylor when she was 3 in a, like maybe a little skirt with a red top and tights?
Yes,
And was she standing by you?
yes, she was.
And who else was in that picture? You remember?
Marla was standing next to me on the left, and then my cousin was standing next to Marla.
Okay. And where was that picture taken?
That was taken in Grove City, Ohio, at my grandfather's house.
Okay. So, have you had a connection with Taylor Schabusiness over the years?
Yes, I have.
Did she come to visit you on other occasions?
Yeah, she came down for a family reunion in 2013 that we had when she was 15.
That was with your daughter?
Yes,
Was that the picture that you gave me of you in the middle, your daughter on one side, and Taylor Schabusiness on the other side?
yes, it is.
And where was that
That
picture
was
taken?
taken at a park, I think on the east side of Columbus, where we had the family reunion.
Inside a pavilion?
Yes, inside a pavilion.
And describe Taylor at that time in 2013 from what you recall.
I used to have it on this channel, but it would just flood the content way too much. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have them all saved on my YouTube. It's just that it's just too much content.
She appeared to be a happy 15-year-old girl. She had a great sense of humor like her mother. She appeared to be
Hi, Hubble.
well adjusted at that time. I enjoyed visiting with her and asking her how her life was going. And I'd always told her I'd be available to her after her mother passed away.
Did you know about the losses that she suffered in her life? The loss of her mother, Marla, in 2009, and the loss of her brother, AJ, in July of 22?
Yes, I did. I grew up with her mother. We were very close as children. We spent holidays, summer vacations, and weekends together at my grandparents' house in Grove City, because when I was a child, I had moved to the East Coast. But we spent, weeks together in the summer playing, planning our future lives, playing with Barbies. We were very close as children.
Did you
By the
talk
way,
to
I watched the Barbie movie. I didn't like it.
Taylor about her feelings and how the loss of her mother affected her?
I did. I remember at Marla's funeral afterwards telling her I would always be available to her if she wanted to know more about her mother. I certainly would be available to tell her what she was like as a child, and I would be available for her the rest of her life if she needed anything. I lived in a different state, but I've always made myself available to her.
I think you gave me a picture of, tell me if you did, of Taylor and her brother AJ when they were younger, maybe with Taylor eating either a pulled pork on a bun on a plate, or you remember anything like that?
Yeah, that was after her mother's funeral. We were at my cousin's house in Hilliard, Ohio for the family gathering. We had both sides of the family there. Art's family was there, and my family was there.
Hi, Ray.
Would you agree that Taylor always had a supportive family, either in Ohio or Texas or Wisconsin?
Absolutely.
And from the contacts that you had with her growing up, did she appear to be a happy young lady, happy child?
She did at that time.
I mean, for the most part, it seems like she had a pretty decent life, She had, food. She had a roof over her head. She at least had, two parents for, a good amount of her childhood life. And then afterwards, I think, support system from her dad, even though her dad's, in jail now. But
You came to find out about the charges and the trial and the convictions, correct?
Yes.
You're aware of what she's been found guilty of, correct?
Yes, I am.
And you're aware of the maximum possible penalties and all of that, correct?
Yes.
At least as to the first-degree intentional homicide charge, the statute indicates life imprisonment with either the possibility of extended supervision or parole or not. You understand that?
Yes, I do understand that.
Do you have any comments for the court to consider on that particular issue?
I do have some comments about that.
Okay, go ahead.
So Taylor, she comes from a loving family. I know her to be loving. I know her to have empathy. She's capable of love. I believe she has suffered immense trauma in her young life. First with losing her mother in 2009. Anytime somebody loses their mother at any age, it's a great trauma and a tragedy. So she grew up without her mother. And then from what I've heard, living with her stepmother and her father, I had always heard that they had slept in the basement. So
Who slept in the basement?
that Taylor and AJ had slept in the basement when her father remarried. We had always heard that in the family.
all right, new poll.
In 2019, we suffered more losses in the family. Taylor lost her grandmother in May, and then in September of 2019, we lost a cousin who was 27 to a motor vehicle accident. That would have been Taylor's first cousin. At that time, at that funeral, when I spoke with her father and AJ, she was doing well. She was working at the cheese factory. Her father, Art, was very proud of her at that time because she was doing well. And then I had lost touch with her during the pandemic and found out about what had happened when we found out AJ passed away July 1st, 2022. That's when all this came out. So she lost her brother to a motorcycle accident. So our whole family has experienced a lot of loss, and Taylor has experienced a great amount of loss. I'm a mental health professional. She has a trauma history, and I believe she has mental health issues.
Hey, Unicorn.
I'm hoping as she goes forward, she can get the help she needs and with some deep introspection, be able to work on her issues. And I'm here to be as much as I can with her on her next journey of life, as much as I can.
Do you have any comments on whether she should be considered for the possibility of parole or extended supervision?
I would like her to be considered for parole. I would like her to get a chance later in life to get to know her son. I think that would be very important to her to be able to spend some time with him in person as she gets older, and other family members who are still around. Definitely.
Do you agree that Taylor needs drug and alcohol treatment?
Absolutely.
Do you agree that she needs mental health counseling?
Absolutely. And she needs to deal with her extensive trauma history.
You believe that she may need medication management?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Is she a lost cause?
She's not a lost cause.
Is she a monster?
No, she's not a monster.
I mean,
She needs to be punished, correct?
She does need to be punished for what happened, and my family we regret what happened, and we apologize to Shad's family for what has happened.
an apology.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any cross-examination from the state?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, man. You can step down.
I'd like to call Arturo Coronado next.
Okay.
Right, this is her father. Or through this. Dad's coming. Dad's also in prison.
Your daughter is Taylor Denise Schabusiness, correct?
Correct.
And when she was born, she was born in Evanston, Illinois.
Yes.
And she lived with you and your late wife, Marla, there for several years, till when, age 12 or so?
So 2009, yeah,
Okay. And then your late wife, she passed away. Did that take a toll on your daughter?
of course.
Can you tell me how that impacted your daughter from, from what you saw, what you observed?
Just, she was young. I mean, she lost her mother, and it's just hard to explain, but yeah, things aren't the same.
It was
lost her
a
mom when she was
traumatic
12,
event for her, is that
though.
fair?
Of course, sure.
And then at some point, the family moved from Evanston, Illinois to Green Bay in 2008, is that right?
Correct.
And you came to Green Bay because of a job, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you lived here for a while in Green Bay, correct?
Yes.
She went to Bayport High School, correct?
Correct.
She went to Bayview Middle School, correct?
Howard Tomical School District.
Yes. And then at some point, there were some issues at the Bayport High School, and she went to Cotulla, Texas, correct?
To graduate, yeah.
Yeah. And she lived with your parents, Esther and Juan Coronado, in Temple, Texas, is that right?
Correct.
And she graduated?
Yes, she did.
And was that about 2016 or so?
I believe so, yeah.
When you lived with her, was school a struggle for her, or was she able to do the work?
From time to time, I mean, she did okay. She had some issues, nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Yeah, she also had those weird Google searches with like Jeffrey Dahmer, like walking sexy in court or something. Jeffrey Dahmer's butt, like.
I'm just going to see if you could just move the microphone a little closer or move a little closer, because I can't hear you. Sorry. Would you help with homework and things like that?
Sure.
When you got remarried, did that take a toll on your daughter, Taylor?
I would think so, yeah.
Did you try to help in that regard to kind of bridge the gap?
Yep.
Okay. When she was living in Green Bay as a child, did you get her involved in any sports or activities?
Before I moved up, she was in soccer. She did band for a little bit.
Okay. Swimming?
No.
Okay. With regards to soccer, was she good at soccer?
Yeah.
She liked it?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Did you do some coaching?
I did.
Was that over at the Esco Noble Field, or where was that?
No, this was in Illinois, actually.
Okay. Did she play soccer in Illinois and Wisconsin?
No, I think she may have tried out, but she didn't follow through with it, so.
Okay.
She did a little volleyball as well.
Okay. So she was involved in activities, correct?
Sure.
What about
her
art,
dad,
or drawing,
sorry.
or things like that? Was she
Yeah.
good at that?
Yes.
Can you tell?
She's pretty good. She's a very good artist. She can draw quite well.
Okay. Were you impressed by some of the pictures and things that she drew?
Definitely.
Does she have some artistic talents?
She does.
Does she have a creative side?
Yes.
Her dad. The one that we were talking about
When she was
earlier.
younger, would she help people? If someone needed help, would she help?
Yes. She would.
And I think in the pre-sentence report on page 17 of 38, you talked with a probation agent, and you indicated he stated, this is you, you're the he. He stated she was a good person, kind-hearted, and helped others out. Is that what you said?
Always, yeah.
Now,
I will say though, given with what her defense attorney is dealing with, I think he's doing a pretty good job at representing her. Yeah, I don't know. When I was watching the trial, I thought he did a pretty good job as well. Given all the information that's against him and all that stuff going on with her and stuff like that, her background and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I like him.
Doesn't matter a way to help.
okay. When she got a little older,
He tried.
after school, did she have a job here?
She did.
Where?
Big Beef City.
Okay.
First job.
Okay, what did she do there?
She worked the cashier, and she did a little bit of cooking in the back.
Okay. Did she also get a job at Saputo Cheese Factory?
That was later on, sure.
Okay.
Hi.
And what did she do over there?
She was an operator. She worked third shift.
Okay.
She worked there about 3.5 years. She did really well.
Made decent money, correct? Did she like the job?
Yep.
And when she was working at Saputo Cheese Factory, was she living with you here in Green Bay?
No.
Okay. She had her own apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she lived with us for a little bit, but yeah, then she moved out with a friend.
Okay. Would you keep in touch with her?
Of course.
Your relationship with her, is it good?
Definitely. Yeah.
I received some pictures. There are all kinds of pictures that you would take together as a family, correct? Yes?
As much as we could, yeah.
Were you in the
When she
slideshow?
was living with your parents, Esther and Juan, in Texas, Temple, Texas, you take family photos there, correct?
Yes.
And when AJ was still alive, you take family photos with him, correct?
Of course.
Was AJ pretty close with Taylor?
Yes.
He liked to ride motorcycles?
He just started to.
And would he let Taylor ride the motorcycle as well? No. Okay. But those two were how far apart in age?
About 2 years.
2 years?
2 years, yeah. They were very close.
Okay. They'd get together.
Who, the father playing Jane? No, I don't think so. I don't think we heard anything about the father abusing the daughter. I remember the father making accusations about like her daughter's husband, like saying that he was like a loser and he was the one that like dragged her down this life of like drugs and stuff like that. That's what I remember.
With extended family in Ohio, correct?
When we could, yeah. Mostly when they were younger.
Okay. And they'd certainly get together with your parents in Texas, correct?
Yes.
And so does Taylor have a strong family support network in the state of Texas and or Ohio?
Sure, everybody loves Taylor.
Think she's a monster?
No,
You understand what she was found guilty of by the jury, correct?
I do.
First degree, intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, third degree, sexual assault, all felonies, all repeaters. You understand that, correct?
I do.
You understand the penalties, correct?
Yeah.
And for the homicide conviction, it's life imprisonment. But the issue is whether she gets the possibility of extended supervision or not, possibility of parole or not. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any comments for the court on behalf of your daughter?
Sure, I don't think she needs life imprisonment. I mean, the mistakes were made. You know, her not being in the right state of mind when it happened, you know, has a lot to do with it. Her whole life, she was a good kid. You know, drugs mess people up. And that's what happened. But I don't think that she deserves life.
You think she should be
She has a child, you know, and it'd be nice for her to be able to see her child.
Oh,
You agree she's-
man, blaming the drug.
getting punished, correct?
Well, yeah. Yes,
Okay. But is it your testimony that you believe she should be given a chance at the possibility of parole sometime in the future?
most definitely. Yes.
Hi, Kelsey. We listened from her grandmother. Now we're listening to her dad right now. We're
Or
still in
extended
the
supervision,
beginning.
that's what they call it. Yes?
Yes.
You knew that your daughter Taylor got involved with Warren Szabo, correct?
Yes.
And he was the one that introduced her to drugs, correct?
Correct.
Meth specifically, correct?
Correct.
Intravenous drug use, correct?
She was like night and day. She completely changed. She's a different person.
You believe your daughter got addicted to the methamphetamine or other drugs?
Yes.
Do you believe that she should get some treatment, counseling?
She should have been getting treatment this whole time. I don't know why she hasn't.
With regards to your daughter, she has mental health problems, is that correct?
Correct.
She's been to Purveya Health and got treatment there, correct?
Correct.
She's received treatment through Bellin Psychiatric Center in the past, is that fair?
Yep.
She was under a civil commitment order in order to take psychotropic medications, a court order, correct?
I believe so. Yep.
That she was found mentally ill in the past by a court of law here in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes.
You were involved in that process, weren't you?
I was.
Trying to get your help for your daughter, correct?
Yep.
Lots of different medications were tried, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. Some that, like, she was just a guinea pig for some of that medication that just did not work and probably too strong. Not qualified, I guess, to say that, but it just did not work for her.
Sure. And Mr. Coronado, when she was staying at the Nicolay Psychiatric Center, was it your understanding that she was getting injectable antipsychotic medication during that short period of time that she was there?
I believe so.
And then she was released, and then the medication stopped, correct?
Correct.
Fair to say that your daughter had been receiving mental health treatment or counseling for quite a long time since her younger years?
That's fair. Yep.
That it would start, then it would stop. There was no consistency. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Do you feel that she fell through the cracks with regards to mental health treatment and all that other kind of treatment?
Definitely.
You talked to the people from the Department of Corrections, Rebecca Chavez, correct?
I believe that was her name. Wasn't sure.
When did the attack happen again? Was that a couple months ago?
Did you, when you found out that Taylor, your daughter, was involved with Warren Szabo, did you talk to her about the relationship, or did your daughter come to you and talk about the relationship, whether there were problems or it was good? Can you tell me about that?
No, they mostly kept to themselves. I knew she was seeing him.
Warren Szabo is the husband, I think, and then they changed the last name to Schabusiness, right?
But they mostly kept to themselves. So she was working there, and then she quit her job and just hung out with him. So during that time, when he was out of jail, we didn't really communicate too much.
Was Mr. Szabo abusive to your daughter?
I believe it was, yeah.
When your daughter was living with you, did she ever come to tell you that she was having hallucinations, visual or auditory hallucinations? She was seeing things, hearing things, anything like that?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, when that happened and what she told you?
Thanks,
Just that
Weasel.
she would see shadows, from time to time.
And she'd hear things?
I believe so, yep.
What did you
He
do?
would come and go, but I'll just talk to her, calmed her down, walked around until we were able to
Appreciate it.
get her some help, or try to get her some help through Purveya.
You agree that over time, the field of medicine, the field of psychiatry, the field of psychology improves every year, every year. You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if she was taking the medicine, or if it was around, but I don't think the medicine really quite worked for her. She'd be drowsy, it would make a different effect on her.
Make her a zombie?
She did, definitely, yes.
What else were you going to say?
Just she wouldn't feel right. Her stomach would hurt, you know, and just a lot of issues with the prescribed medicine.
Would you agree that your daughter has redeeming qualities to her? Can you tell me what they are?
She's
Laura's trying.
It's sad for me to sit up here, you know, knowing what happened and stuff, knowing my daughter the way, you know, she was, and the way she, I know she still can be. It's just night and day. She was always a loving, caring person. You know, she liked to have fun. You know, liked to joke around a lot. You know, she's not the monster that, you know, she's being made out to be. That's for sure.
You agree your daughter's got to be punished?
I'm sorry.
Do you agree that your daughter has to be punished?
Has to be punished?
Yes.
I'm sure it is.
Are you saying you want the court to give her a chance to get back into society in the future at some point?
Definitely, yes, yes. She need help, mental help, for sure.
And
Is she going to get that help? No, from whatever happens, you know, moving forward, I don't know, but she definitely needs help.
is she able to love?
Yes,
Is she able to form relationships with family members,
definitely.
friends?
I mean, yeah, that kind of sounds like a
When
monster.
she
to
lived with
me.
you, did she have friends
It's
over
not just the
sometimes, or
beheading, it's
bring
all the
people
other
over?
stuff she
All the
also
time, yeah,
did with
she
his
had many
body.
Did she like to go to
And how she was like joking around saying like, "Oh, I forgot the head. Oh, how could I forgot the head?" I don't know, like
Ohio
just
to visit
crazy
extended family
comments
over
like
there?
that.
Whenever we would go, yeah, mostly when they were younger.
your daughter? Do you think she's a lost cause or not?
No, no.
Do you think she could be fixed?
Yes, for sure, definitely.
Going to take some time though, right?
Yeah, with the right help, of course.
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Cross-examination from the state.
Let's see this part. I hear people were snoozing in this area.
Address issues of the science of drug development. That's a brief review of my 43-page resume.
You've worked as a
3-page resume. Holy shit. Okay.
Reduced homicide by vehicle.
I'm going to speed through the credentials.
Answers or assistance on medication management, and sometimes patients are referred to me by their physicians to help solve their puzzles, solve their problems.
Now, with regards to this case, you were retained by the defense, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what did I ask you to do as far as services in this case?
You asked me to evaluate the matter, evaluate this Schabusiness, chronic and acute drug use related to the homicide, evaluate, review, and to do so to review police reports, videos, autopsy, toxicology of the victim, pre-sentence. I've read since then pre-sentence investigation reports. I did interview Ms. Taylor, the defendant, before the hearing I was here for. I think it was in June or July.
Wayne.
And I provided you with my opinions as to her drug use or drug history, my assessment as to the toxicity from primarily an intense, high-dose, almost daily intravenous methamphetamine use on her brain and her behavior, and also reviewing her psychological and psychiatric history, what effects those her methamphetamine use would have on her mental illnesses that she was diagnosed with. So I didn't do the mental illness diagnosis that was done by mental health professionals, but I considered what effect the mental illnesses would have on the drug use and vice versa, because that's part of what I do. We look at the drug, but again, get the clinical context. So what is this drug use, either whether it's quantified or actually measured in the exact amounts, or qualified, described as how frequent. Look at any evidence surrounding this as to what or how the drug use affects an individual's life, and then take into incorporate the clinical context of prior psychiatric treatment, psychological and psychiatric diagnosis, any psychotropic drugs for any mental illnesses, the effectiveness of those psychotropic drugs.
All right, so drug use on the brain and then mental health and illness. Let's go.
Whether or not the patient was compliant with the medications, whether or not when they use the medications and we're not using methamphetamine, whether their behavior enhanced. So it's a lot of moving parts, but that's what a pharmacologist does in contrast to a toxicologist that just looks at the numbers and says, this is how much was used.
You understood, or you were provided information as to the events that happened with regards to this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were aware that blood was taken from a bucket and then used for testing purposes, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall what drugs Taylor Schabusiness admitted to using up to and during the date of the incident?
Yes. She was using methamphetamine and marijuana, cannabis.
Daily?
Marijuana daily, methamphetamine almost daily. Those are her words. So there were some days she didn't use it. And that was over the course of approximately a 2-year period, with the exception of when she became pregnant, decided to stop drug use. Drug use resumed after she gave birth.
Yeah, see, so when she became pregnant, she stopped using drugs, and then she started using drugs again after the baby was born. But I mean, she was able to stop using drugs when she was pregnant.
Lost her baby, came back.
It's astonishing.
Methamphetamine is highly addictive, is that fair?
Extremely highly addictive, one of the most addictive drugs that we know.
Again, based on your training and experience and knowledge, can methamphetamine use cause hallucinations, visual or auditory?
Yes, both. They can cause a form of drug-induced psychosis.
What is psychosis?
Psychosis, the easiest way to describe it is a loss of touch with reality.
Delusion?
Delusions includes hallucinations. Just a loss of touch. What they do makes no sense. What they say makes no sense. They're not reasoned with. To use an old term, they're out of it.
If Ms. Schabusiness
No way. When you're pregnant, meth doesn't work anymore. No way. No way. I don't know if I believe that. I got to read about that.
indicated that she had used 51 hits of methamphetamine prior to the incident on or about February 22nd of 2022. Would you have a concern about that?
What I have concern, yes, I've never heard of that much methamphetamine used in one setting. I'd be interested to learn what the gram weight is of the methamphetamine because we have a little bit more context then. But someone, for instance, using 1, 2, 3 grams a day represents tolerance. The subject has to use more to get the same effect. But even in the course of use of using it, the way methamphetamine is used, it's astounding.
Yeah, I'm Googling that. I don't see anything about that. If you find anything about that, send it to me. But, I mean, because there are women that are addicted to meth and are still using meth when they're pregnant. If they didn't feel the high effects anymore, then I would assume they would stop using while they're pregnant, right?
As far as Taylor Schabusiness, how did she use it? Was it IV? Did she smoke it?
In her usual method of administration is IV, but she told me that she smoked it on the day of the homicide. That was the
Gotcha,
preferred
Sherry.
method that the victim used, who was also a methamphetamine user.
Oh,
and
no,
that's
not
how
Murdoch, no.
That it's the term hit applied.
Oh, I watched the Murdoch doc, by the way, on Netflix. It was okay. Yeah, I watched it, all 3 episodes.
It was smoking rather than injecting.
Was it
I
your,
didn't really like the ending, though, because there's really no evidence that there was a possibility of a second shooter. So I don't know why they were really, like, entertaining it. Maybe to add more to the sensation and mystery of it, like, oh, there's possibly a second shooter, or, ooh, maybe he had help. But, like, I don't know, there's no evidence that pointed to it, like, during the trial. So I was, like, kind of confused, like, oh, why is... I mean, I guess it just adds... I don't know. It makes it more mysterious at the end, I guess.
understanding that the victim and Ms. Schabusiness were using meth prior to the incident on February 22nd of 2022?
Immediately prior to, and that for some time regularly used method together, and that he was her source.
Did Taylor tell you when she first started using meth?
Yes, when her husband was released from prison, he was a methamphetamine user. He returned to using methamphetamine. And he got her started on it. And that, I have a figure in my mind of approximately 2 years. I think that release was late 2019. By that time.
Okay. Did Taylor tell you or describe the effects that meth had on her?
It destroyed her life. And those are not her words, but with my take on it. She lost a job that she had for 3 years. It was mentioned earlier, the Saputo Cheese Company. She told me she liked the job. She made good money working there. But when she started using meth, she stopped going to work. Meth was all that she did. She had other jobs, but they never lasted because she was either high or unable to go to work. It changed her. She became, I don't know anything, didn't know anything about her personality, which I've heard about today, but she was arrested for aggressive behavior against police officers. And I think that's what precipitated her commitment to Nicolette for the forced psychiatric treatment and medication treatment. She hadn't had that type of behavior before methamphetamine use.
Yeah, lucky him. He didn't have to be her lawyer anymore. Would you imagine if the lawyer was forced to still continue to represent her?
She had mental illnesses. She did have psychiatric diagnoses, but those were much more prominent after the methamphetamine use.
What psychiatric diagnoses do you understand that Ms. Schabusiness had at the time of the incident in this case?
By my reading, they're described as bipolar 1 with psychotic symptoms, schizoaffective spectrum disorder, PTSD, depression or major depressive disorder,
Hey, Joe.
and history of ADHD for which she was not treated.
Do you have any opinions to share with the court on the issue of impairment or that kind of topic on the date of the incident?
Yes, based on in the setting of a long-term chronic intensive use of methamphetamine in a mental.
Hello? Who's that?
In the setting of in this young lady's life with a mental illness diagnosis or defect that is principally bipolar, extensive use on that day would cause significant intoxication and impairment. Methamphetamine affects the prefrontal lobe, executive function, judgment, discretion, consequences, and through a mechanism of altering the brain chemistry, principally dopamine and subsidiaries of dopamine and other neurotransmitters. That's the mechanism of the acute use in a setting of chronic use in similar situations. She's already damaged goods. She already has brain damage. She already has brain damage from coming into the setting on the date of the homicide and using again. In other words, the chronic use causes over the constant daily insults to the brain function, brain chemistry, the brain substance, such that even without the use of continuing use of methamphetamine, there is chronic damage that is present as a result of that long-term use, such that an individual has impairments to that, again, that prefrontal lobe, the cerebral cortex.
I feel like we've already listened to a testimony similar to this during the trial, like regarding like the drug use and the mental stuff. I'm going to skip through this part. All right. After break.
An impact statement you wanted to do was going to be read in, or how do you want to handle that?
I believe now two family members of the victim wish to orally address the court judge. Okay. I think just orally is a victim impact statement. So.
Very good. And if they want to come up and stand, there's a microphone right above. If you want to stand
Victim
right between
impact
those two doors there, they
statement?
can stand right there. If you could just tell me your name first, sir.
Kelly Fury. Chad's uncle. I basically just wanted to say that there's no excuse for what you've done. I don't care if it's drugs or upbringing, you know.
This is Shad's uncle, victim impact statement.
We all go through hard times growing up, at least the majority of us have. You have the opportunity to change that. You have the opportunity to, you know, see that you have a problem. There's, you know, I've been in recovery a little over 3 years. In AA, I drank for 41 years. I realized I had a problem. So there's just, basically to me, you took the easy way out. It's you did the most cowardly, weakest thing that you could do possible. You know, you meet a person in school, you say he's your friend, you become friends, you become girlfriend, boyfriend, lovers, gain his trust of an innocent person that's very kind, would do anything for you. And I believe you used that, and you had this plan, and took your opportunity when you did. There's no excuse, you know, I don't see it no other way. To take advantage of someone's kindness like that, that's like the most irritating thing for me. You know, you get to know somebody, they trust you, and then you do that. You say, and then you say that you're a friend, you're his friend, you said that in the statements. It's like, man. But, you know, I walked in.
Oh, hi, Chris. Hi, you made me cry with Steve's victim. Dude, I cried so much editing it. It was so hard. Thanks for watching.
Program, and it's free. You know, you can go get help, and it's free. All over the place there's help.
I miss Steve.
And it doesn't cost a dime, you know.
Hi, Neko.
It's either, and the first thing they tell you in there, you know, you want to continue doing what you're doing. It's going to be jail, institution, or death. And you chose that path, and you chose the wrong path. They sit here talking about being rehabilitated. Is Shad's mother going to ever rehabilitate from this?
No.
No, but you can go to an institution, you can go to prison and try to be rehabilitated, but I don't see no reason why you'd have parole after the doctor had just mentioned once you have so much damage, it's irreversible. You know, so why would, don't make no sense to me even to have the option of parole to come back and to gain someone's trust like that again. You know, because that is like the lowest thing a person can do. You know what I mean? I just don't understand that. And the biggest thing is, you know, like I said, you know, the help is free and it's there. You chose not to take. You know, I'm sure you knew you had a problem. You know.
This is Shad's uncle, part of victim impact statement. So right now we have 6% possibility to parole, 81% no parole, and then 13% not sure. I cried watching Steve's video too. I had to pause for something to collect myself. Dude, you know when you're like editing a video and you have to rewatch it to make sure it flows all right? I had to keep rewatching it. I was like, I can't watch it. My eyes are like, you know, like it was all fogged up and like I was all crying and shit. Oh man, what a guy. I miss that little
You can't
guy.
blame it on childhood. You know, there's
Little
help out there.
Steve.
And if you take the path to go get the help.
Thanks for
you wouldn't be
watching,
in this
guys. I
situation
appreciate
right
it.
now. None of us would be in this situation. But to take the cowardly path that you did and to make other people suffer because you were suffering is pretty shitty. So that name Taylor shit business fits you well. Now I'm not a praying man, but after Judge Walsh's sentence, you say, I will pray that you meet the same fate as your idolistic Jeffrey Dahmer. So have a good life, shit business.
Wait, did he call her shit business? Did I hear shit business? Holy shit. All right, that was the uncle. Oh, I don't think you're allowed to clap. Can you clap in the courtroom?
And then the next speaker will be a statutory crime victim, so we ask the media to be advised of that, Judge.
I have another dog underneath the camera right now.
They're indicating they are going to make sure that they're not doing it.
I thought you're not allowed to clap. Shit.
You just state your name for the record.
Michael Thurian.
Go ahead.
Taylor, I just want to say that I forgive you for what you've done to my son. And, yeah, you made a bad choice, and now you have to live with it. But, you know, I'm going to miss Shad. He was a wonderful child, too, growing up, just mild-mannered and just happy. And I know you made a bad choice, and And like I said, I forgive you, and I'm going to ask the judge if he can, if she can see the streets again sometime,
Really? Okay, so this is Shad's dad. Okay.
It may not be soon, but I believe everybody
Thanks, Wayne.
makes bad choices, and maybe not to the scale, but I think there's a lot of hope for you. I think, you can make use of your time and be a better person and do great things yet, so it does no good for me to hate you, I know you got a heart, I know you got a mind, and I wish you no harm, and I hope things go well for you. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Wonder the mom's gonna say anything.
Any other witnesses or people want to speak? Mr. Saunders.
No, I don't believe so.
Very good.
Oh.
Then
No mom, no sister.
I'll turn to the state for a sentencing recommendation.
Thank you. So ultimately, the state's recommendation is that the defendant not be eligible for release at any point onto extended supervision. And obviously, we're here for legally and morally the most serious offense somebody can commit in the state. Really, I think a few points bear emphasis. I'm not going to rehash the entire trial testimony for the court, but I do think a few points bear emphasis. Really, the manner and nature of which Ms. Schabusiness caused Shad's death in this case, I think is really one of the more egregious, frankly incomprehensible methods of ending another person's life that we've seen in this county and certainly in a significant period of time. So it's one thing we sometimes see intentional homicides where there is a bad choice. There is a decision in a moment of anger or whatever it is to pull a trigger on a gun or to hit somebody in anger. And while that intent exists when they're committing that act or when they're pulling that trigger, it's sometimes rather fleeting. The manner, as we heard from the defendant herself, explain how she ended Chad's life. This really wasn't a bad decision. It was
That's
a
what I
series
said.
of conscious efforts. It was continued effort over, as she said, 3 to 5 minutes, as she's telling and describing for Detective Groff and Detective Kemp, pantomiming how she's pulling harder, how she's glibly talking about how he's turning purple, and I liked it. I'm pulling harder. He's coughing up blood. I'm pulling harder. I kept going. I was waiting for him to die. This really is an involved process. It's a method of ending another person's life that really is quite significant. I think evinces some significant concerns going forward, both in looking at the nature of the offense as we have to, but in looking at some of the other factors the court's to consider, and which I'll be commenting on earlier. It's really one of the most horrific ways to end a person's life. And again, it's bad enough to do to anyone, but as we heard, there was this level of trust and friendship and familiarity between the two, which I think is just really makes the acts of the defendant really incomprehensible in that respect. You have.
It's not like
Obviously,
they were
the method
strangers.
of ending his life was significant and serious, but after the fact, not realizing, in the course of this conduct, her actions are going too far, and to the opposite, actually going further, and, as I commented on earlier, but not then owning up to what happened, not realizing the impact of her subsequent acts would have on Shad and his memory, on his family, on this community, really, to engage in the acts that she did with his body. Which I'm not going to comment on what those are. The court and counsel are aware of what happened and the systematic and organized and laborious efforts she undertook. Again, that's nothing we've seen in this county.
And the fact that she dismembered him with kitchen knives, like that was like Shad's mom's knives and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, butter knife, other knives that they had.
I imagine in many counties have seen acts of callous brutality like that. And I do think that's an extremely aggravating factor. I recall Dr. Tranquita's testimony from trial talking about the amount of effort and volition and choice that would have to be done to undergo what the defendant did over a period of hours. This was not, again, one bad choice in some respects. It was the choice to end his life in the first place, certainly a bad choice, but continued bad choices throughout the next day, throughout the morning and into the night, where she's finally stopped by law enforcement. It's the 3 convictions that Ms. Schabusiness was convicted of, I think, are just really some of the more egregious conduct that the court will sentence a person on for some time. The court saw the entire 8-hour interview in the course of the litigation. We saw portions of that interview as she's describing this to law enforcement, and really we see from moment one, and that continued throughout the pendency of the proceedings in the case, to her comments in the PSI. We'll see what the allocution is today, but really a lack of remorse or understanding or appreciation, I guess, is in some respects, of the conduct that she's engaging in. We saw her calmly describe what happened, at some points being rather glib and smirking about what she had done. As we see later in the PSI, having very little remorse for what she's done. And ultimately, the defendant, we've heard a lot about drug use and mental health history, which I'll comment on later. But really, the defendant herself is telling us why this happened. And it wasn't because methamphetamine, it wasn't because of mental illness. She's telling law enforcement why this happened. It happened because she liked it. It's because she wanted to do it. And again, throughout the entirety of this case, we see...
I think she is cuffed, but I don't think it's like the Murdoch one where they're cuffed to their their waist. I think she's cuffed, but she's able to like kind of move up and down.
This underlying motive is essentially... It's kind of consistent, right? We see, and we have seen acts of acting out, both in court and to examiners who are seeing her. It's consistent in the state's view with a lack of remorse, of understanding of the conduct that she engaged in. And I think that's all consistent. I think it's all an aggravating circumstance for the court to consider at sentencing. And I want to talk to, because impact on the crime victims is a factor the court considered. And I want to comment on that in two respects. First, the perseverance of this family to have the attitude they have about the case and about Taylor is admirable. To hear the things they've had to hear and experience the things they've had to experience, I think is tremendous. So the thought of the defendant having perpetrated this act and impacting them in that way, I think is incredibly concerning. It was heartening, as I've been the prosecutor for many months on this case and reading the PSI, getting to know more about Shad, and I want to comment on that because unfortunately the case we've heard, really everything we've heard about him has been in the context of what Taylor did to him. And it's really unfortunate that that's the memory that some people will have about him. And again, that's a result of the defendant's acts.
Can you guys hear that? You could just like hear her like sigh like really loudly.
To, in some respects, really tinge the memory that some may have of him. And I don't want that to be the case. But we heard the good. We heard how he was a good and a quiet kid, how he would always hug his dad on the way out before he left the house, how he would read and knit and crochet with his younger sister. And that's the person the defendant took out of this world. For all the talk about how young the defendant is, Shad was 24 when he passed. So all the things we hear the defendant wants to experience in life, she still has that opportunity in a confined setting, and simply put, Shad does not. So the impact on the crime victims, I think, is significant. We then look at Schabusiness's character. I guess I'll first comment on the prior history, which we consider, and I guess we're also sentencing on. There are 3 prior convictions. She was just placed on probation 6 weeks before this offense, and appropriately so. In reviewing the complaints, she kicked an officer. There's indications of methamphetamine or other substance abuse that led to that conduct. She then, in the fleeing case, fled at 80 miles an hour down the downtown Green Bay when it's populated with bar patrons and other pedestrians walking down the street. She's hopping curbs. She's not stopping. She's blowing through red lights. Again, there was indicia that drug use was at play there. And those were both in 2020. So as we heard earlier, there was ample time in reviewing the materials. Efforts were made to address the underlying substance abuse issues. She was placed on probation, and really nothing of much was accomplished in that short period of time. The little that was accomplished, she absconded from electronic monitoring. She cut off the bracelet and really then obviously engaged in this conduct. So,
I forgot about all this history that she had before.
The state agrees that, considering this idea of rehabilitation, and that's always a goal, but in some respects, that opportunity was afforded both during the criminal cases and in reviewing all of the materials at many points throughout her life, and unfortunately either was not followed through with, was not taken seriously, and I think that's a concern going forward. We consider the background of the defendant, and I echo the comments earlier. That's not a childhood, that's not an early adolescence that anyone should have to go through, and that's, it's difficult to hear some of that stuff. But when we consider that sort of background information, unfortunately, we deal with a lot of people who have substance abuse issues in the criminal justice system that lead them to make choices they wouldn't normally make, that leads them to become thieves or become burglars or become misdemeanor offenders. Really, I'm not sure we have a nexus here between that underlying substance issue or mental health history and the conduct that we're sentencing her for today. Certainly, we've had a lot of litigation or testimony about the mental health history of the defendant. The court-appointed experts called a majority of that into doubt, and obviously the jury disagreed that there was any mental disease or defect that led to this behavior. And I comment on that because it's one thing just to say this person has a mental health history or a substance abuse history, and it's important to note, but really why that's relevant in sentencing is it's sometimes a nexus or it's a explanation for one's conduct that maybe then would lead towards maybe rehabilitative efforts. I'm not sure in the case there's that nexus between the prior drug history, mental health history to the extent there is one, and the defendant's conduct here. It appears there was methamphetamine use, we don't know how much, and we don't know, given some of the comments of the defendant after the fact, how much that impacted her decision making. Certainly probably didn't help, but we, as the doctor said today, we've now had this long period of essentially forced sobriety, and we're seeing aberrant behavior throughout that time. Certainly, obviously, nothing to the extent of what she did to Shad, but I comment on that because, yes, there are those histories, and rehabilitation is always a goal of the criminal justice system. And I would think most people in the public and in the state certainly would agree with that.
Yeah, I think initially I was like, oh, I'm not sure, but like if she got parole, maybe when she's like really old, maybe like 50, maybe 60, you know, something like that, but I'm not sure. But after listening to him, I'm like, okay, yeah, no parole. You're right. No parole.
As
No
a first
parole.
option, as a response to addiction, to low-level offenses, rehabilitation is a primary goal. Rehabilitation, while important, should not be a primary goal for the courts in this case. And I say that in part because of what the defendant did. I think criteria like punishment and deterrence and protection of the public are more primary factors. But it was very concerning to not only hear the defendant talk about the offense to law enforcement, but the comments that were made in the pre-sentence reports, which, as I mentioned, I think evince just an utter lack of remorse for what happened. And it's relevant, lack of remorse, to one's character. Obviously, if somebody's remorseful for their conduct, that reflects favorably on their character, and the state would be the first to acknowledge when that's the case.
Well, she's 24 right now. So from 24 and her to get out in her like 50s and 60s, that's her is like old, because that's like many, many, many years down. A lot of things that she's going to miss in her life if she's in jail for that long.
Here, not only do we have a lack of that, we have really the opposite. We have the defendant in the PSI on page 7 saying, quote, "I don't have any regrets about what I did, and I do not feel remorseful for Shad." So the state's concern really is more, comments like that go more towards protection of the public and an ultimate question for the courts of whether this is a person who should be afforded the opportunity to be released. Because really lack of remorse in many respects is more fundamental to protection of the public and those sort of criteria. And that's because understanding, appreciating, being remorseful of one's conduct helps that rehabilitation effort, and it helps ultimately then protection of the public. If you're not acknowledging what you did and that was bad and that you should feel bad to the victim who did what the defendant did to the victim, why should there ever be a potential for release, to be released back into the community without that understanding? That's step one in the rehabilitation effort. And we don't have that yet. And really we have something completely contrary to that. And that's extremely concerning. So in that respect, I agree with the Department of Corrections in the case. They're recommending Ms. Business not be eligible for release, and the state's joining in that. I've reviewed the defense PSI from Mr. Highland and Ms. Nitz, who were retained, and you know, they acknowledge in some respects the logical course would be to not be released without the possibility of release, but they come to a different conclusion for really 3 reasons, and I wanted to comment on that. First, they comment that she has a documented history of mental health issues, including hallucinations, ideations, extreme emotional highs and lows, things like that. I do think that's inconsistent with the expert testimony from the court-appointed witnesses in the case, from Dr. Engen, from Dr. Seipel. Really, I commented on Dr. Seipel's quote to the doctor earlier in his testimony. I'm not sure if that's the case here. I think it's fair to say some of the beliefs are questioning the behavior that we're seeing, wondering if it's volitional. Some doctors even being more forceful in that opinion that it is, that it's fundamentally volitional choices that the defendant's making. Dr. Seipel found no credible evidence in that, and we're not here to litigate that. I comment on that because if that's one of the bases to conclude that she is eligible for release, I don't know if that's consistent with the evidence that the court's been presented in the case. Second, her intense use of methamphetamine just prior to the offense. Again, I don't know how much of an impact that had. Certainly, we heard about sometimes meth use can cause those gaps in memories and things like that.
Wait, quick question. Does anyone here have a rooster by any chance? There's a rooster in my neighborhood that's been roosting like throughout the day. I thought they only do the roosting in the beginning of the day. Is he just broken, or is he trying to get attention? Like, what's up with him? Why is he roosting through the entire day? We don't know why she has that face cover thing on. No idea.
That's not consistent with what we saw. We saw, to whatever extent the defendant used methamphetamine leading up to the offense. First of all, I don't know if we know what impact that had. Second of all, I don't know how it alleviates the defendant's responsibility or alleviates or gives rise to this notion that if we just have her be treated, that this wouldn't happen again if she was released into the community. I don't know if that nexus is there in this case. The third consideration they commented on is her present inability to fully process and acknowledge they actually engaged in, noting that it appears
he does it like 5 times an hour. Or maybe even more. I could hear him.
to come from her reviewing the reports generated by law enforcement. And again, the court's seen the interview.
He's gonna call
her
the coyotes
recollection
over
and
here to eat
appreciation
him,
and understanding
man.
of what she did is evident from moment one,
coyotes are gonna
not
get
from
him.
reviewing police reports. In many respects, she was leading the investigation. She knew more than Detective Groff and Detective Kemp. She's pointing out where everything is. She's providing accurate information that's corroborated by law enforcement on the scene. So this notion that this is somehow she's not fully processed what's going on, not only is that contrary to the evidence, the evidence we have is that she has processed and she simply does not care or appreciate what she did. And I think that's consistent with her comments in the PSI. It's consistent in her attitude and comments to law enforcement in both interviews. And again, I talked about this at length in talking about her remorse, but that gives significant pause. This was not a person who was psychologically unable to understand what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. The jury agreed, and I think that's evidence from the evidence in the case. So they also talk about this denying the eligibility of release is to reject the possibility that there may be advancements in the future, and certainly that's potentially the case. We have no idea what Schabusiness will be like in 2040, 2050, 2060. But that's just one of the factors the courts can consider. To only think in those terms neglects the other criteria, neglects what she actually did in this case, the moral need for punishment, the need for deterrence, the need to protect the public from somebody doing that to another person in this community. So sure, rehabilitation is always an effort, and hopefully in a confined setting that can be accomplished to some extent. But that's not the only criteria. The only criteria is, can we correct this behavior? We also have to address what she actually did. And what she did, as I commented on, is significant. So really, in light of these circumstances, I think the department's recommendation for Ms. Schabusiness not to be eligible for release is appropriate. There are select cases where the legislature has determined that somebody in the court's discretion should not be eligible for release into the community again. And looking at the criteria and what the defendant did in this case, that's seemingly, this case seems to be kind of made for that sort of a result, what the legislature had in mind in crafting that possibility. So I believe the state should exercise the court should exercise its sentencing discretion and deny the eligibility for release. I think in that event, the sentences on the other counts are perhaps moot, but I think the PSI's recommendation for consecutive sentences on the other matters are appropriate. The sentencing after revocation, I'll just agree with the department. They recommend a year in jail. That's appropriate. But really, the preeminent case is obviously the case we're here for today. So that's all I have to say. There's credit, but we'll wait till the end. So thank you.
Okay, Mr. Freilich.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. There's a lot of information that the court has to sift through and assess and analyze in this case. We've got the State of Wisconsin Department of Corrections pre-sentence investigation report. We also have the Forte Investigations independent PSI or pre-sentence investigation report. The court heard some testimony from family members, my client's cousin, her father, her grandmother, Dr. O'Donnell. What we have here is a horrific situation that happened. It can't be undone. Certainly, the defense agrees that Taylor Denise Schabusiness has to be punished, but she's a young person. She's 25 years old. We can't undo what happened. Okay. What we know is that she's got family that supports her, that loves her, family in Texas, family in...
I mean, think about it. She had family that loves her and support her throughout this, before she committed the crime. So, I mean, did it really help her? I mean, obviously not, because she still committed the crimes, and she was in trouble for a bunch of other shit that she did before.
Ohio, extended family out there. They're all willing to try and help Taylor in whatever way they can.
Oh, it's a good argument.
I think that my client, Your Honor, is not a throwaway. She's not a monster. She's certainly got problems, and over time, I think she can get control over her problems, get help, get rehabilitation, and also be punished. Clearly, when during the trial, the court saw the videotape footage, and when the Green Bay police detectives and officers came to the Eastman Avenue apartment and they made contact with Taylor out on the porch or on the steps, and then had her go back inside and sit down on the stairs, you could tell that she was high on drugs. And then eventually she was questioned and taken out to the police squad car for further questioning down at the Green Bay Police Department. But Taylor is not a throwaway. She's a human being. It's not an eye for an eye. I'm very impressed by Michael Therian, Shad Therian's father. He has a huge heart, and he forgives my client for what happened. And he, from what I heard, believes that he thinks that my client should be given the opportunity for parole or extended supervision down sometime in the future. And I'd ask that the court consider that. He's the victim in this case, and what he asks of the court should be strongly considered. I have a client who is very young. She's a young woman. She has severe mental health problems. It's the elephant in the room. We can't ignore it.
I think she has a top knot on.
She's got all kinds of mental health problems. They have been bore out in the records from Prevea Health, from Nicolay Psychiatric Center, from Bellin Health. She was under a civil commitment order in 2021 and under an order to take psychotropic medication. And this young lady has a lot of mental health issues that need intensive treatment and counseling over time. She is a dual diagnosis client or patient. She has severe drug addiction issues, marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine. She apparently used it where she smoked it, where she used it through an IV intravenously. She's had problems for a long time with drugs, and that's an issue that really needs immediate attention by professionals. But this has never been about an eye for an eye. It's about fairness and justice. That my client should be punished, but she should also be given the opportunity to have a chance at the possibility of extended supervision or parole supervision sometime in the future after she gets help. This was one incident. I would argue that my client should not necessarily receive separate punishments, although we have convictions for 3 separate crimes. But it was an incident that occurred on one particular date, February 22nd of 2022, that the sentences should be concurrent. I would argue, Your Honor, and ask the court to consider the fact that this was likely a meth-fueled type of incident on the date of this tragedy.
What about when she attacked the other lawyer? What was their explanation for that? Oh, leave his hair alone. It's fine.
Shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. As far as looking at my client's life, she was born in Evanston, Illinois, Chicago area, moved with family to Green Bay, Wisconsin in 2008, went to school here in the community, went to high school here at Bayport, and then at some point she went to live in Texas with her grandparents, and then came back.
Me neither. I mean, like, I'm trying to think. Okay, worst circumstances that would work for Taylor Schabusiness. Let's say she was with Shad. They were in a very long time abusive relationship where he was abusing her or something. And then one day she snapped and she decided to do all this. I don't know. Maybe that's when I would be like, parole, but like, I don't know. With the way that how everything went down in this particular case, it's just like they were friends. They were, hanging out and stuff like that. They were having sex. They were buddies. And then she just fucking does this to someone that she actually like cares for. Not like a total stranger or not someone that was like abusing her or anything like that. Like, I don't know, like self-defense. Like, it's just a lot, Like, this is just a lot. She did this to someone that she was like close with,
I would argue that Taylor Schabusiness has redeeming social value. She's got the ability to do artwork. She's like soccer. She's like swimming. She's able to function independently. She's of average intelligence. She's got adequate written and verbal skills. She's a high school graduate from Cotulla High School in Texas, where she graduated in 2016. She was very good in different classes like social studies, physical education, science, economics. She's had different kinds of jobs. As a cook for Big Beef City in 2012, 2013. She worked for Tour Temple in Texas in 2012. She worked for Saputo Cheese for about 3 years in 2017 to 2020, making about $21 an hour. She worked for Seek Staffing. When she was in Texas, she was apparently a maintenance supervisor where she made close to maybe $32 an hour. And she was certified for employment purposes in sanitation, forklift, driving, pallet jacking, safety locks, things of that sort. So she's able to do well. Those pictures, the family sent those pictures to me and I sent them to the court. I think the pictures show Taylor as a youngster, as a teenager, and as an adult, that she's got family that loves her, that supports her, that she is needed, and that she can form relationships and that she's capable of love. I think that Mr. Coronado, it's unfortunate of his situation, but he indicated.
But I guess if she was wearing this involuntarily, what would be the point of her wearing this if she's able to just yoink it down? I don't know. I think she voluntarily decided to wear this. Like, even though her hair is all messed up, I think someone probably did put it on her. But I think she might have asked for this. I don't know.
To the pre-sentence writer that Taylor was a good person, kind-hearted, helped others out.
Or maybe the lawyer is like, okay, Taylor, you keep making inappropriate faces. Let's cover your face up. But I feel like they should have given her a face mask instead of giving her this. Like, this just shows way too much attention.
That Taylor struggled after her mom, Marla, passed away in 2009.
Okay, sorry, and then last thought. What is it called again? Did you guys ever watch Tim Burton's TV show? What's the name again? The Addams Family. Do you remember when like the roommate, she like knitted her this like scarf thing? What's it called again? What was it called? It's like a scarf like hooded thing. I thought she was wearing it initially. I was like, oh, maybe it's like cold in Wisconsin right now. It might be. It's September. But then I was no, she can pull it down. Look, she pulled it down earlier. See, look at her hands. She's able to joink it down a bit. See, look. She can pull it down all the way if she wants to. The balaclava. I think that was her monster name. But there's a snood or something. A snoof. Yeah, she can take it off. So I don't think she put it on involuntarily. I'm thinking she asked for it, or maybe the lawyer did because she kept making like weird faces, and like maybe hopefully the sentencing will be lighter if like she stopped making inappropriate faces, or if it wasn't like in view, Oh yeah, snood. Yeah, something like that. Well, look, she can pull it down. If she really wanted to spit at people, you know, she can just pull it down and spit it anyways. So I don't know.
She is needed and that she can form relationships
Yeah, she would just pull it down.
so that she's capable of love. To her mom, AJ, in 2022 from a motorcycle accident. You heard about the other losses from the cousin that testified. My client has a little boy, Mateo, who's age 1, and he's living with Juan and Esther Coronado in Temple, Texas. Those pictures speak 1,000 words. You could see that Taylor was delighted to have that baby come into her life. She kissed his head. She hugged the baby. She was happy with being around her grandparents. You could see that she was close with her brother, AJ.
But look at what she did to her life, like after giving birth. Though, it looked like she was able to set her life straight while she was pregnant. But like, look at the stuff that happened after she gave birth. Like, I mean, do you really care about your kid at that point?
All of these pictures show that she has had a good life where she got love and support from family. The tragedy, the fact that she has these losses, I don't think they were ever really addressed in counseling, but they eroded her mental health. And she had underlying problems besides all of that. My client certainly has a prior record, but it's not a long record. It's not a record where she assaults people and things of that sort. In looking at the independent pre-sentence investigation
See, she kicked a police officer. She assaulted her lawyer a couple months back. I mean,
report from Paul Highland, those writers, Mr. Highland and Carrie Nitz, a PsyD licensed abuse counselor, indicates that Ms. Schabusiness' present inability to fully process and acknowledge the acts that she engaged in
he's just trying his
on February
best.
22nd, 2022 exists.
trying his
My
best.
client has these mental health problems. She's not getting treatment in the jail. She's not apparently on any medications and probably needs to be. She needs to see professionals to help her address some of these problems that she has.
I
But
agree
with
with
the
you,
proper
Gene.
treatment, with the proper medication, with the proper counseling, I think she can turn it around and do great things like her father, Arturo Coronado, testified to. She's not a lost cause, Your Honor. And the writers from Forte Investigations indicate
did they say who she was spitting on? And how do we know this? Is it someone tweet about it, like in court or something? Show me.
at this time, presently, she's unable to psychologically fathom the crimes that she committed during her mental state on February 22nd of 2022. I agree with that. I don't think she is currently able to do that. She's going to need some treatment to process all of this. She was likely in a drug-induced delusional state at the time that happened. And you even heard from Dr. James O'Donnell, who has a lot of experience dealing with methamphetamine use and chemicals and all that. He indicated that chronic methamphetamine use causes cognitive impairment, it impairs cognition, can cause violent behavior, delusions, hallucinations, in some cases psychosis, and a loss of touch with reality.
I saw the Daily Mail one, yeah.
I would argue that that's likely what happened here. Likely would not have happened if my client was not using drugs with Mr. Therian. And it's my client's fault that this happened, and she has to be held accountable for that, but the court needs to take that into consideration here. And, the court has the discretion to do whatever the court feels is appropriate, taking into account all of the sentencing factors. And, punishing my client for decades like the Forte investigation independent PSI recommends is appropriate. She can be punished, but at some point, she should maybe be given the chance or the possibility of being on extended supervision. Because to deny the possibility of consideration for extended supervision in the future is to reject the possibility that there may be advancements in medicine, in psychology, in therapy. Maybe certain medications can fix some of the problems that she has. This is a very complicated case from a psychological, from a mental health standpoint, from a medical standpoint. And I would argue that my client should be given the opportunity to live her later years possibly outside of a confined setting. That it'll give her incentive to work hard in counseling, in therapy, participating in interviews with professionals to try and get a better understanding of the crime and the factors that contributed to it. And the possibility of parole, like Mr. Highland says, is not synonymous to the probability of parole. We're just asking the court to consider the possibility of her being afforded extended supervision or parole in the future, sometime in the future, after thousands of hours of therapy, after thousands of hours of counseling, after possibly taking prescribed medications, following the strict adherence to the medication regimen. My client apparently doesn't seem to have much in the way of violence in her life, threats to people, and only after an extended period of time of living.
Rain. Spitter meets shitter stuff.
Appropriately, vigilantly, could she have the possibility of being considered for supervised release? So I agree with what Mr. Highland and Ms. Nitz have to say about their recommendations, and I'd ask that you consider that, Your Honor. I'd ask that the sentences for counts 1, 2, and 3 all be concurrent to each other, as recommended by Forte Investigations. And then I'd ask that you consider granting her consideration for extended supervision, make her complete a mental health assessment, comply with all recommendations, have her complete an AODA assessment of all those recommendations, submit a DNA sample that's required under Wisconsin law. I think that Forte Investigations did a very good job, a very detailed analysis of my client's problems. They did an alcohol and other psychoactive substance abuse evaluation and concluded and opined that my client has a history of using mind-altering substances, that that she had some losses in her life, but that she also had some good parts of her life where she graduated from high school, had a baby, had jobs. It talks about the history of using substances. I took some notes on that. Well, it looks like she started using alcohol at age 6. and then continued onward with using marijuana, maybe at about 14 or so, and then got into stimulants, the methamphetamine, and started using methamphetamine at age 21. You know, using these drugs, the methamphetamine is probably one of the worst drugs you could possibly use, but it changes your brain. It changes the chemical composition of your brain. It causes all kinds of problems. She used marijuana for sometimes almost daily until she got to be 21. So you can understand maybe how her thinking and her judgment and...
Hi, Madison. So we're doing the sentencing for Taylor Schabusiness, and her grandmother went up there and talked. Her dad, she had an expert talk about like the drug use on her mental health illness and stuff like that. But we kind of forwarded through that because a lot of that was already kind of like in the testimony in the trial. It was a different expert though, not the same guy. But yeah, we kind of just forwarded through that. Now we are talking. Now the defense is talking and giving his recommendation. So he wants obviously to have her to get opportunity parole in the future. And the state obviously is like, oh, no parole. This person has like a history of, you know, other stuff that she's done. She's had opportunities to change herself and she didn't. She didn't take it seriously. Da 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 da. So now we're waiting to see what the sentence is going to be.
Her ability to process was completely impaired. And then you add another layer of the mental health problems. Of course, it's going to create hallucinations and auditory and
She is married, but her husband was in jail, I believe. Yeah, her husband was in jail at the time.
visual hallucinations where she doesn't go to sleep, stays up all night, stays up for days on end. Certainly, she was under the influence of methamphetamines at the time of this offense. And she really hasn't had much in the way of treatment. I think treatment could help fix or reduce some of the problems that she has. I think she's open to it because she tried it in the past.
Yeah, today's sentencing.
And maybe she resorted to drugs, Your Honor, because that's what she saw her mother do as far as using alcohol or other things, and that's how they cope. You know, you learn from
Maybe?
your parents. My client, apparently, according to Carrie Nitz, meets the criteria for substance misuse diagnosis, and all the different diagnoses are as follows: alcohol use disorder, cannabis use disorder, severe opioid use disorder, morphine, stimulant use disorder, methamphetamine, stimulant use disorder, crack cocaine, and that Carrie Nitz, NITZ, recommends that Ms. Schabusiness engage in treatment in a residential or inpatient service program where she can receive intensive services in a structured environment with a focus geared towards motivational and intervention strategies, as well as promotion of recovery and close monitoring of sobriety. And it's recommended that these services be received duly with the services to address her significant mental health-related issues. Providing these kinds of services and recommendations, it may be possible for Taylor Schabusiness to obtain control of her life, engage in meaningful relationships with others, and adequately address her substance misuse, and which could possibly change the direction of her life, benefiting her and the criminal justice system.
Chopping it up.
I think it would be a tragedy to, as an argument on behalf of my client, to give her life in prison without the possibility of parole. I think that the court should definitely take into account what the defense is recommending, what the independent pre-sentence investigation is recommending, and what Michael Thurian is recommending. I don't believe that my client is...
I don't know if she ever said that she used like drugs to like escape from pain or anything like that. It seems like she just did it because it was just like really fun. And her husband like got her into it, and then she just got addicted, and like fucking sucks.
or wanted to do this or liked doing it. I think that she really...
Like when I used to do a lot of drugs, it was just because it was really fucking fun. But then I realized the after effects of it was just not worth it whatsoever.
Wasn't able to completely understand or fathom what was going on. And when she was talking to detectives from the
I think
police
in her
department,
scenario, it was just like
she was still
got
hopped up on
addicted because of
drugs.
her husband. It was fun.
Her mind just wasn't thinking straight. How could it? But she was cooperative and told law enforcement what happened, gave them information that helped with their investigation. The fact that she was cooperative should be considered by the court. I calculated the jail credit, and she was arrested on February 22nd of 2022. So through today, I come up with 581 days of credit. I talked to my client. I don't know how many hits of meth she took. She indicated maybe it was 51 hits prior to the incident, but she took a lot of meth. I would argue and submit that the more you use, the worse it gets, especially if you have an underlying mental health problem. And the underlying mental health problem, as Dr. O'Donnell states, it was exacerbated by the heavy use of drugs.
We're almost done.
And, you know, the doctors and the state, it seems like, other than Dr. Lighton, who said that woman is psychotic, all the other doctors seem to think that, oh, my client does not have a mental health diagnosis or a mental health issue, and she does. That's why she was under a court order under the state of Wisconsin for a civil commitment and a medication order. I would also argue that the fact that she used marijuana at a young age, 12, 13, 14, whatever it was.
No idea. We don't know who those people are. It could just be people who are just observing. I don't know.
And whether it was daily or not, it likely changed the chemical composition of her brain and made her incapable of making rational decision. Her brain, her thought process, her ability to think rationally, all got eroded over time. And, Your Honor, there are aggravating factors here, but there are also mitigating factors. And I would argue that Taylor Denise Schabusiness has many redeeming social qualities. She could turn her life around with counseling, with education, support of her family, support of her dad, support of her aunt and cousin that's in the courtroom, with medication management through a psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist or doctor, possibly getting back on injectable antipsychotic medications to treat
She's
her
a 1-year-old.
Psychiatric and other problems, get into criminal thinking classes in the prison, maybe have a full psychiatric evaluation, and have a structured daily regimen. And this young lady, I've worked with her for quite a long time. I've seen a lot of positive things in her. And I think that part of it has been the drugs were just clouding everything, where she couldn't think straight and just wasn't making right decisions. But she can turn it around. She can make better decisions in the future with help. And I think there is a nexus between her substance abuse problem and mental health history. Certainly my client needs punishment. The public needs to be protected, but also a fact.
No, wait, is her kid a 1-year-old? No, I don't think a 1-year-old anymore. Maybe 1-year-old at the time of the murder. I think her kid might be older than that. Yeah, sorry. Because she had her kid before the murder happened.
There is rehabilitation, and after time, after years, she should be given that opportunity to
When was it
be
again?
released under supervision of the Department of Corrections. She'll need close rehabilitative control,
2-year-old.
but she deserves a chance. And I mean, the court has to weigh the scales of justice. We see them all the time. From testimony, from records, from arguments, from exhibits, and from what people say, what victims say, what Michael Therian says. So I would ask that you consider these arguments on behalf of my client, Your Honor. As to the recommendations of Forte Investigations, I'd ask that you go along with that, ask that it all be concurrent, give her the credit that I already stated. And as to the revocation matter, defense would agree that she should receive 1 year in jail. We ask that it be concurrent to any other sentence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Business, this is your opportunity to address me. If there's anything on your mind you'd
Oh, is she gonna talk?
like to say before I pass sentence.
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Really? She doesn't want to talk? Sorry, let me slow it down a little bit because she's kind of sounded annoyed. No, there isn't.
Business, this is your opportunity to address me. If there's anything on your mind you'd like to say before I pass sentence.
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Yeah, she sounds like she doesn't know. Like, get this over with. I don't know. Like, there's something up with her. Don't let her out, please. She's scary.
Very good. Well, then, when passing sentence on cases like this, the court has to consider the factors set forth in State v. Galleon. So I have to consider the gravity of the offense, the character of the defendant, the need to protect the public, as well as other aggravating and mitigating circumstances, including rehabilitative needs and punishment and deterrence, and then craft a sentence in each case that's appropriate. In this case, when I consider the defendant's character, I can say that over the course of this case, I've learned a great deal about you, Ms. Schabusiness. First of all, you were born in Chicago, lived there until you were about age 10, 12 rather. You seem to have had a stable childhood. You were loved by your mother and your father and your brother. And unfortunately, your mother passed away when you were 12, your brother passed away in a vehicle accident, and your dad's incarcerated. But I'm confident that all three of them probably still love you very much. Her father's employment was transferred to Green Bay when she was about 12 years old, and hence began the contact Ms. Schabusiness had with this community. She attended Bayport High School. At about 16, she moved to Texas to live with her grandfather. She graduated from high school in Cotulla, Texas, and eventually came back to Green Bay because she missed her father and her brother, which again doesn't surprise me any because, as I've indicated, I think they both love her very much. She's worked in this community. I read over the pre-sentence investigation report that I ordered, and that outlines some work experience that she has, and I think that's a favorable character trait because, quite frankly, not everyone that lives in this community does work, and I think it indicates someone who wants to get out and support themselves and not make anybody else do it. But that reflects on character. She has a limited court record. Certainly we have pretty much the entire extent of her criminal record in front of us here today. But it's a limited record that reflects on character. She's got a family who cares about her. And although sometimes I think people take that for granted, if you sit in this courtroom long enough, you'll realize that you should never take your family for granted because so many people come in sitting in that chair in an orange jumpsuit and have absolutely no one who will come in and say, I'm with her. And that takes a little bit of fortitude to come in and do that. And frankly, today she's got extended family that comes in and does that for her because her direct family are unable to do that for various reasons. And so I think that speaks to Ms. Schabusiness's character because there's people in this world who find value and worth in her that they're willing to come in and stand behind her. So I think that reflects on character. I'm cognizant of the fact that she began using drugs at a very young age. Marijuana at age 12, cocaine at around 18, and methamphetamine at around 18 as well. And we've heard a lot of testimony about drug usage. I don't have any doubt that has an impact on how people conduct their lives and behave from moment to moment. But quite frankly, as far as this incident and these events go, I think I've spoken to this.
I don't know. I think the judges, they usually do this. I feel like they like to create suspense. So highlight the positivities and then they'll just take a sharp right turn and a U-turn. I think he's just highlighting the positives about her. But then I think he's going to lay down the hammer soon.
Already in prior hearings, but the fact of the matter is, I watched the interview with law enforcement shortly after these events, I observed someone who was lucid, understanding what was going on, was tracking what was being asked of her, her answers were tracking. Everything seemed to be together at that moment. I don't really see the influence of drugs now. It doesn't mean it's not there, but I didn't see it in that interview, which is the most close proximity to the events of this night that we have, is that interview. And right then and there, she seemed to be very lucid in what she was doing.
Yeah, the
but I don't
interview
doubt.
fucked her.
But there's a long history of drug use, serious drug use. Methamphetamine is a plague in this community, and it seeped into this case as well. And it's something that we have to constantly fight against. It's not a battle that the system wins often, but we're making some headway. And every little step we take is perhaps one life that can be saved as a result of that drug coming into this community. But it's a big problem, and it is in this case. I've heard about Ms. Schabusiness's mental health history. I've read stacks and stacks of mental health records that have come in as recently as a few days ago, and I read them over, which allowed me to learn even more about Ms. Schabusiness and about her character and who she is as a person. I've heard about her son who lives in Texas, and I'm absolutely convinced that she loves her son, and I'm going to say more about that in a minute, but that's a piece of who she is because she's a mom, and I think that is a title that is a precious title, and it's an important title. I'm also convinced that a person comes into this court with their life up to that point in time as a demonstration of their character. What kind of a person are they? What do they bring to the table as a member of the human community? Not just this community, but as the community, the human community as a whole. And there are some things about Ms. Schabusiness that speak well of that. I was a little bit put off by a statement that I read in the pre-sentence investigation report, frankly, from her father. He said on page 17 of that report, "I feel like the system could have helped Taylor and kind of failed her as well." And I reflected on that because it's difficult to understand who people refer to when they say the system fails people. Because you know what? It's not the job of the system to raise people's children. The system tries to do that. The system is not perfect. Like our fight against methamphetamine is not perfect, but we carry the fight on. People in our community get into the system, be that the court system or the system dealing with child protection.
Damn, I wonder if he's going to allude to the fact that her father failed her.
Really, I think what they're referring to, I don't know, but it seems to be the government. The government needs to come in and do more to take care of people who have gone astray, and I'm not sure that that's the case. Nonetheless, attempts are made. Attempts are being made in this courthouse every day, and to suggest that somehow it's the system that failed. It always surprises me a little bit when people come into court. They're coming in an orange jumpsuit and chains to suggest that it's the system that's failed my daughter. There's a certain irony in that. There really is. And it disturbed me when I read that piece. Not so sure it's really relevant to what should happen to Ms. Schabusiness, but it was relevant to what I heard from this witness here today, because I think the system does the best it can. It's imperfect, and it has very much to do with the amount of resources that the public wants to put into the system, and those resources are finite. But as I say, in this building, the system is doing everything it can to fight drug use with all of our treatment courts, with everything we do, to try to help push back the plague of drug use that's occurred and that we've heard so much about in this case. So I read that statement. I heard from Ms. Schabusiness.
I don't know. They said that if she first had alcohol when she was 6 years old, but like, what does that mean? Like she drank alcohol when she was 6 and then drank consistently? Or she just like had it at 6 and then, okay, that's it. Like, I don't know. They didn't really go into too much details about that. I don't know. I felt like it was just brought up just to be like, oh, look at her, poor life, had alcohol when she was sick.
His father.
I don't know.
He is coming in here to talk about his daughter, who's also going through the system. And I couldn't help but think of everything I heard about Ms. Schabusiness' son, because it seems to be a cycle. It seems to be just a circle. It's coming around again. So that if he ever finds himself in the situation that his mother finds himself in, where she's the only one he's got left to come in and speak for him, again, I guess it's the system that's done something, but it all starts, frankly, at somebody's home and what they have to offer to their children. And so anyways, I reflect on that. But I'm also convinced that, no one is responsible for where they come from, but you are responsible for where you're going. So there's a lot of tragedy that has occurred in Ms. Schabusiness' life. There really is. I've already reflected on some of that. And it almost seems as if you could apply the phrase, she never had a chance, to Ms. Schabusiness. But as I said, you're not responsible for where you come from, but you are responsible for the choices you make about where you're going. And Ms. Schabusiness has got to be held responsible for that, and this is the ending of a process that is doing just that. At the same time, I'm absolutely convinced that, irrespective of the sentence that Ms. Schabusiness gets, which in light of these charges is going to be a life sentence, every human being has the ability to move forward and find meaning in their life, and Ms. Schabusiness has that opportunity.
It's kind of like that saying when they say that, like, you're not responsible for your trauma, but you're responsible for, like, getting help. You can't just, like, blame other people and then just take it out on other people and stuff like that,
Just like anybody else in this courtroom. She has the ability to do that, and I certainly hope that for her. But all of those things I reflect on when I consider the character of this defendant. Next, I move on to the gravity of the offense. And I sit in this chair often, and I address situations where people have lost their lives, or people have been violated terribly, and I always indicate that really the offense in this case can't be overstated, and that seems very appropriate to say that in most cases when there's been such a death or a violation. But in this case, it seems different. In this case, you seem to run out of superlatives when describing what happened in this case. You really do. The list of superlatives don't seem to measure up to what you see and what you hear about, and what we heard about in the trial. This crime offends human decency, it offends human dignity, and it offends the human community. It really does. When someone loses their life needlessly, it's tragic. It really is. It's tragic for family and friends and community. When life is taken from a person in the fashion that it was in this case, where the victim's remains are cut up and packaged in containers, it's difficult to identify a human nature in those activities. It really is. It's very troubling. It's difficult to recognize the general belonging that most people have for their community. It's difficult to recognize community in anything that happened in this case. This is a small community that we live in, where the web of relationships almost encompass everyone who lives here, such that people look out for each other and care when something bad happens to one of our members. And in a broader sense, the community we exist in is the human community, as I've reflected on, and these actions are foreign to all of that community.
Did you guys ever have like an adult in your life that's just a little bit kooky? My mom had a friend that she like tricked me into drinking her. It was like a gin and tonic or something. I don't know. It was really fucking disgusting, but I thought it was a Sprite. I think I was like 6 years old actually. She like tricked me into drinking it. I drank that shit and I almost fucking threw up. Man, that shit was so fucking nasty. Yo, mom. Yeah, my mom didn't really drink alcohol, but she had a friend who was like, she had a little kooky. I liked her. I loved her a lot. She was great. But man, back in the day, man, gin and tonic is awful. Hell yeah, even as an adult right now, man. Gin, ugh, gross.
And they shock the community beyond the ability to adequately express.
Unless like those pretty ones, the flowers and shit. Sometimes they make it taste pretty decent. But this same woman actually, you guys remember Scary Movie? I went to go see Scary Movie with her youngest son, and he was like 4 years younger than me. I think I was in he must have been like 5 or 6. I don't know how he got into theaters, but we went to like the dollar movie theater, and we went to go watch Scary Movie, and he was like 5 or 6, and I was like, I don't know, like 9 or 8 or something. The first one, Scary Movie 1. We thought it was so funny, and then we watched it as an adult, or I watched it as an adult, and I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of jokes that like I didn't get. Like the part where they were like doing it, and then like she gets like squirted up into the ceiling, and I was just like, oh my god, it's just milk. Oh man, holy shit, childhood was crazy.
To all that community, and they shock the community beyond the ability to adequately express in words. They really do. And that's the gravity of this offense. That is the gravity of this offense. There aren't superlatives for it. There aren't really words for it. You can get a sense of it. You can get a sense of it and a feel for it, but there's no really way to express
I don't know how
the
we got
gravity of
in.
this offense.
I don't think they cared back then.
So the need to protect the public is an important factor the court needs to struggle with as well. And in light of what I've just indicated, I think it's plain that there is a need to protect the public in this case. As I said, this behavior seems so removed from the human community as to be unpredictable. It really is. And in a place where this kind of an offense, kind of actions, kind of a crime is possible, with no advanced warning signs, and absolutely anything is possible then. Where this kind of a thing is possible, absolutely anything is possible. And from that, the public needs protection. They really do.
Yep.
I've outlined, what I think are aggravating circumstances in this case. There are mitigating circumstances, as I've said. There's things about Ms. Schabusiness regarding her upbringing and what brought her here, the struggles she's had with some mental health issues, and struggling perhaps in the context of those issues with a family who wasn't always as present as they could have been. Those are mitigating sets of circumstances. But all of those things weigh into what this court has to address. So when I consider what is an appropriate sentence, first, I think the law requires that I at least look at least some of these cases. I take a look at probationary sentences. Those aren't appropriate. They would diminish the severity of the offense. But at this time, given all the factors that I have to consider, it's the decision of this court and the judgment of the law that Ms. Schabusiness be sentenced as follows.
Here we go.
In 22 CF 363, count 1, that's the first-degree intentional homicide as a repeater. It's a Class A felony. I'm going to impose life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. I believe that's appropriate in light of the findings that I've already made. As far as count 2.
Oh, man. Do you think at this point this is when it's hitting her? Okay, I'm going to slow it down for this. I just want to see her reaction. She's kind of been like a little nonchalant, kind of like, a little weird with her reactions, but I wonder if this is the part where it like kind of like hits her.
Life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. I believe that's appropriate in light of the findings that I've already made. As far as count 2, mutilation of a corpse as a repeater, Class F felony, I'm going to adopt the recommendation of the pre-sentence investigation writer, 7.5 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That'll be consecutive to count 1. As far as count 3, third-degree sexual assault as a repeater, Class G felony, I'm going to impose 3 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That will be consecutive to count 2 and count 1. As far as the revocation cases, I'm going to impose 1 year of incarceration on each of those counts. Those will run concurrent to the other offenses. I've reviewed, as I've indicated, reviewed both of the pre-sentence investigation reports. There's certainly valuable things in them. I'm going to, as conditions of supervision, I'm going to require no contact with the victim's family, maintain absolute sobriety, complete SOT assessment and treatment follow-through, obtain and maintain full-time employment. To the extent there's ever supervision, GPS monitoring, I'm going to require an AODA assessment and follow-through, psychological evaluation and follow-through. The recommendations that are contained in the pre-sentence investigation report submitted by the defense indicates or suggests that there be services engaged in for substance abuse and other mental health issues. That's a reasonable suggestion, and I think I've encompassed it in the recommendations that I made, which is there needs to be a compass evaluation and follow-through with any treatment recommendations that are proposed, but again, an AODA assessment and follow-through and psychological evaluation so that Ms. Schabusiness can get the help that she needs while she serves this sentence. I'm going to order court costs. It's $538 per count. That's a total of $1,614. That'll be the order of the court. I do need to indicate, as I'm required to at sentencing, that now that Ms. Schabusiness is convicted of a felony, she'll lose her right to vote until it's given back to her by the governor or by state law, and she may not possess firearm or wear body armor. Any other record you'd like me to make, Mr. Saunders?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Life without supervision, and then he gave her like sentences like on top of that for the other stuff.
No.
Mr. Freilich,
My
any other
understanding
record?
of it.
Your Honor, the 581 days credit for time served.
Any objection to that?
No, and there's an additional 60 days on the revocation case.
No objection to that.
581 days credit on the first case, and then on the revocation cases, 60 days credit. And that'll be the order of the court. Then, Mr. Freilich, you can go over your client's appeal rights with her.
Yes, I will.
And with that, then, This matter is now concluded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think they're talking about the credit, I guess, in case maybe in the future, maybe something happens. I don't know, just to get all their paperwork correct, I guess. No, my understanding is no parole. I was a little confused when he was talking about the other ones, though, like mutilating a corpse and then third-degree SA. See what this one says. Yeah, without parole. Taylor Schabusiness sentenced to life without parole. Yeah, that's how I understood it. Now, when they talked about confinement for the other charges, I'm not really quite sure what that means. Does that mean like she'll be in solitary confinement for like a couple years, or where are we at with that? And I think some of them were served consecutively too, right? Or sorry, concurrently. They have to give rulings on all charges. I do understand that. I just was curious about the confinement part. You think you're going to try to appeal? Gen Pop? Yeah, I'll wait till Court TV to like break it down for that part. They'll decide where to keep her after evaluation, probably. Oh, he needs another pen. This pen is out of ink. No? He needs to sign something? This was a wild ride. Yeah, crazy. Crazy. What else we got going on? What else? Oh yeah, so yeah, I did watch the Murdoch. I guess it was season 2 of the doc because I watched season 1 where they covered the boat incident, but I watched season 2. That's what I kind of wish they did with the Depp v. Heard stuff. I wish they kind of interviewed witnesses again and then interviewed people who were involved with the case. I thought that'd be like more interesting. Let's see if there's anything going on with. Oh, apparently, you guys heard about the we like briefly covered this in a stream. Sorry, when I say briefly, I think we spent like 3 hours on it. But do you guys know Ashley Benfield? She's a like a former ballerina accused of murdering her husband. She said it was like self-defense, but when they did the investigation, it showed that like I think she shot at him while he was like coming at her, or no, while he was like turned around. I think they think he was shot from behind. Apparently, her trial might be happening in 2 months. That's what they have scheduled so far. So they tried to get it, I think, dismissed by saying that it was like self-defense or something. And then I think the judge ruled against it. So she's going to be standing trial in like 2 months. That case is really sad because the man who was shot, he has a daughter, and she's been pretty outspoken on like TikTok, I think. Yeah, the fake black eye ballerina. Yeah. Oh my God, the black eye picture. What were they thinking with that? They showed a picture with her with a black eye, but then we found the original copy and there's no black eye. It just looks like she just had some, you know how like some people's like face, they have like some like depth to their face. So there's like shadows and stuff like that. I was like, dude, that's not a black eye. Like, what are we looking at? And then the only thing that she had was like, I think she had like maybe a scratch or something somewhere. I don't know, man. She was trying to say self-defense and it did not look good for her. I can't wait for that trial. That one's going to be an interesting one. I think Sarah Boone also scheduled for December, I think, for trial. Let's see. Is her shit updated yet? it at? Sarah Boone. Well, they need to update her shit. But yeah, I think Sarah Boone is scheduled for possibly like the first week of December trial. The first 2 weeks of December trial. She didn't hear of AH. Oh, you know, something did pop up on my YouTube feed. I saw that someone did a video on Jennifer Howell's deposition. And I was like, wait, do we read Jennifer Howell's deposition? I don't think so. I know Jennifer Howell wrote a, what is it called again? Shit, what is it called again? When they read a bunch of statements and they signed at the end. Was it an affidavit or something? Oh, I forgot these terms. Yeah, so I don't think we actually read the deposition. So I might try to find it and maybe we'll read the deposition with Jennifer Howell. Because I always thought that she had a very interesting statements, but you know, they didn't allow a lot of it in court. But I do want to read the deposition. That'd be kind of interesting. That's pure gold. Jennifer Howell was like almost like also like BFs with like Franco. Yeah, like I don't know, man. Oof, crazy stuff. So if I find it, I mean, I'm sure I will find it. Maybe Depp Dive will have it, or maybe it'll be like where all the I'm assuming it's probably with the unsealed court docs. Maybe the depositions in there. So if I find it, I think we'll probably do a little bit of reading this week. I don't know how long it is though. Maybe my throat. We'll see how it is. But yeah, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on Taylor Schabusiness? I think when I was watching the trial, I went back and forth a lot on whether or not, you know, it was fueled by drugs, whether or not she had like mental issues that were, you know, unresolved, or if she was just batshit crazy, or maybe it was a combination of all three, or maybe some of them. But I know that I definitely went back and forth a little bit because I don't know, I like had a little bit of sympathy for her at some times where I was like, oh, I kind of feel bad for her, but I think I had to like rein in my emotions. And I think by the time that they found her guilty, I think I totally agreed with the jury. So remember, she had her trial in like two phases. One was like whether or not she was like culpable, whether or not it was like because, you know, it was like of like mental defect or something like that. And then the second part is whether or not she was like, I think guilty of the crime. But that was a very interesting trial. I've never seen the trial done in two phases before, but apparently it's something that they do in like Wisconsin. I think it was the most craziest trial this year. Was it? No, I think we had Murdoch this year, didn't we? Was Murdoch this year or was it last year? No, Murdoch was this year. I would say Murdoch one was wild. Oh man. The Murdoch one was probably the most wild one. And then second to that, I don't know. The Letitia Stock was pretty wild too, but remember the Gwyneth Paltrow civil case one? That one, I don't know. That one was a tough one for me because I went back and forth a lot on whether or not who the responsible party was. And I think at the end of the trial, I think I probably disagree with like a lot of you guys. I know a lot of you guys like hate Terry Sanderson and think that like he's just some guy who's just trying to get fame or money. But I think towards the end, I think like, although I believe Gwyneth Paltrow's side, I think she proved her case better. And I still felt really bad for him. I don't think he did it on purpose or anything like that. I think he just had some bad witnesses and they possibly just convinced him that it wasn't his fault when it probably was his fault. But yeah, that was a tough one for me. Who has a new movie? Gwen? Murdoch was kind of awesome to watch. And Gwen, I think Gwen one was like a good breather from criminal trials. You know, sometimes when you have a civil trial going, it's just like, okay, like no one died, nothing's bad going on, you know, like, yes, like maybe possibly this guy's life may have been ruined. We don't know yet. We're waiting to find out. But like nothing as like crazy and severe. Like the Letitia Stalk one, that was really tough. Anything involving, I would say like children, animals, like, oh, I don't know. Those are the tough ones. Lori Vallow's trial was nuts too. I know they released audio from that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like sitting there just listening to audio. I like looking at like facial expressions and stuff. Maybe one day in the future. What happened to the girl who left her baby in the trash at the ER? Oh my gosh, I heard that there was another case in New Mexico too. Did you guys hear about that? So you're talking about Alexi Treviso, right? So her trial is going to happen like a year from now. Initially was scheduled for the beginning of 2024, but they pushed it for a year out. But I don't know. I saw that there was some polygraph stuff that was done. So I'm assuming maybe she took a polygraph test. But like, I thought these polygraph stuff was like isn't it just like, why are we still doing polygraph shit? Isn't it like not really like proven? You know, I don't know. Like, what are the chances of the polygraph actually being true, right? Like, I don't know. I thought it was just like kind of like fringe science. I don't know why they did a polygraph thing, but I don't know. I saw that the polygraph thing was done. I think polygraphs is like, you know, it's kind of cool to do it, you know, to like, but like not for like, I don't know, for like criminal cases and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Like, oh, they passed a polygraph test. Okay, cool. You know, I don't know. I thought polygraph wasn't admissible. I don't know. I saw that there was a polygraph that was done. If you look up her case, the New Mexico court stuff, it was like polygraph submitted or something. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't care that she passed a polygraph test. I don't care. But anyways, yeah, there was another teen apparently that left her baby, I think in a hospital trash. I think it was like very similar. New Mexico. Yeah, Law and Crime covered it. Another teen allegedly dumped her baby in New Mexico. Oh, do you guys want to watch have you guys watched 48 Hours? They did the Idaho student murders. The episode came out on YouTube. Now, we probably can't watch it on YouTube, but I can watch it on my Twitch channel. I don't know if you guys would be interested in watching that. I haven't seen it yet, and I love watching 48 Hours. And I know there's still a lot of information that's not out yet, and it's probably like done prematurely, but I do want to watch it because I'm kind of curious. You did watch it? Yeah, I want to watch it, but we're not gonna be able to watch it on our YouTube channel, but I do want to watch it on my Twitch channel. Maybe we'll do that sometime this week. If you guys want to watch. Polygraph is only admissible when it leads to evidence. The only time where I thought the polygraph thing should have been admissible, and it was admissible, it was when Letitia Stout tried to fake a polygraph test, the results actually, and then they admitted that entire thing into evidence. That was crazy. She went to some company and was trying to get some fake polygraph results, saying that she passed a polygraph, whatever. And the questions that were asked was like, I did not hurt my stepson. I did not kill him or stuff like that. And then it raised a lot of red flags with the company. And they were like, okay, we're not going to be able to release this because the questions you're asking are kind of fucking weird. And we don't want to be involved in this. But yeah, okay. Let me see if I could find. Yeah, apparently there was another teenager recently that put her baby in the trash. Where was that? Oh, is this on crime?
A 16-year-old New Mexico girl is accused of throwing her baby away, putting it in a hospital trash can. This marks the third time in...
Isn't that crazy? I guess when you're a teenager, you don't really watch the news, right? Fuck, like, there's been 2 other teenagers that did the same thing. And this one was at a hospital as well. But I haven't heard too much about this one because I know the name. I think she's like 16 years old, so the name hasn't been released or anything. But crazy. Crazy. Yep, in the ER. Yeah. Fucking wild. Crazy. Letitia lied about the questions she asked. Oh my God, a third one? Yeah, this is recent. I don't really have any information out on this one, though. Obviously, because I guess they're underage, but my goodness, what is going on in New Mexico? Masterson is going to try and get in the clear in jail with the psychiatrist. I haven't really been up to date with that. I know he was sentenced, like what? Did he get like possibly like 30 plus years or something? But I heard that like initially when they did the first trial, it was a hung jury. But in the second trial, I heard that the victims in this trial were actually allowed to say that they thought they were drugged or something. Which, man, I kind of wish I had the transcripts. I'd be down to read the entire transcript. I don't want to watch it, but reading transcripts would be kind of interesting. He got cooked. Yeah, and then I saw the Ashton Kutcher and I didn't know Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were married. But I saw that they wrote like letters of support for him. And then this was like months back when they probably thought that he was going to do okay because, you know, they had a hung jury for the first time. So maybe they were like, okay, like I'm sure, you know, it'll be a hung jury again. And we'll write these letters. Maybe it's confidential and no one will find out. And then like, yeah, the public got a hold of it and was like, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't know too much about that case though. So I don't really have too much to comment about it. But, you know, you guys are welcome to fill me in. It's a weird horror movie. She plays a psychiatrist. I know, how ironic. Wait, who? Rain? Which horror movie is that? Why can't they just drop their babies off the firehouse? I don't fucking know, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, when I was in high school, when you get pregnant and you didn't want it, you know, the teenagers that I knew, they just got a fucking abortion. I don't know why they would want to carry a baby to term and then decide to give birth, and then from that on have like a, baby in your arms and just dump it. Like, I don't know. That's just so weird. I don't know. Who knows what the New Mexico curriculum is like for the health classes? I don't fucking know, man. Oh, for Age's new movie. Oh my gosh, I've been watching the Umbrella Guys like coverage of the whole like drama thing with the movie stuff. Dude, I think he mentioned that like the movie, like, I don't know, was it like in the movie made like $138 or something in theaters? I don't know, something like that. Yikes. And I don't know, I feel like we're just being trolled at this point. Do you guys remember the movie trailer? God, what was up with the movie trailer again? The movie trailer was like, why did they give her those lines to read? It wasn't a Lifetime movie. I don't know what it was. What was the movie called again? The trailer. Someone clipped like a part of the trailer, and I was like, oh my gosh, why? New movie trailer. What was it? Is it called In the Fire? Oh yeah, In the Fire trailer. $187. Yeah, I was like, what? How is that possible? I didn't believe it at first. I think this right here. In the Fire official trailer. This one?
Click. To name a thing, and you're going to tell me.
Because they remind me of heaven that we're not safe.
Where is it?
What
Oh, this part.
is your lie? What is your lie?
That I'm a fraud.
Oh my god. Who wrote this movie? Did they set her up on this? No way. This is too crazy. And the fact that they use this in the trailer. I don't know. If I was Amber Heard, I would be sus with the people that I hang out with. Like, I don't know, man. I'd be like, damn, did they invite me to do this movie just so they could fuck with me? Like, why the fuck would they put this in the trailer? Oh my god. I almost feel bad for her, but we were reminded of all the crazy shit that she did. Yeesh. Anyways, is it a horror movie? I like watching horror movies. Oh, you can see the dislikes? Where? How do you see the dislikes? Oh, do you have like some sort of like data thing, whatever? Ratioed. Yeah, I don't know why they use that in the trailer, man. I just felt like they're fucking with her. Okay, anyways. I think it worked. I want to see it. I mean, if it's a horror movie, I'd be down to watch it. I like horror movies. Could you imagine being on set with her and then having to tell the director you have to use the bathroom? Wait, why? Oh, it is a horror movie? What is it about? Amber Heard in the Fire movie. Oh, man. In the Fire. Okay, let's read about it. I'm curious. I want the spoilers. No spoilers? I don't know if anyone's watched this. A doctor travels to a remote plantation to care for a disturbed boy who has inexplicable abilities. She ignites a war of science versus religion with a local priest who believes the boy is possessed by the devil. A doctor from New York, A.H., travels to a remote plantation in the 1890s to care for a disturbed boy who seems to have inexplicable abilities. She begins treating the child, but in doing so ignites a war of science versus religion with the local priest who believes the boy is possessed by the devil and is the reason for all the village's woes. Interesting. Interesting. It looks like a type of movie that I would watch. Oh, I love horror movies. She's a doctor. Come on, guys. From a fish to a psychiatrist, she's doing so much better. I have the dislike features thing. Oh, from Google Play. Oh, gotcha. If I was on the set, I'd ask, sorry, I need the toilet. Where's the bathroom? Just troll her. Anyways. Yeah, there's that. Anything else? Anything else going on? I I wonder if they literally altered the script in order to capitalize on the infamy of the trial. I don't know. I would honestly like. I feel like wasted. If I would be highly suspicious of, of the trailer if I was her. But anyways, yeah. Anyways, how are you guys doing today? Did you guys have a good weekend? I appreciate you guys watching the new vlog that's out, by the way. I want to do new vlog. I want to do more vlogs just so I can have all the footage of Shiro. So one day, if something happens to Shiro, I can watch all the footages just in case. What about the IBM reviews? When I think of IBM, I was thinking of the irritable bowel movement. Let me see. What is it called again? In the Fire reviews. Let's see. Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, you know what I watched recently? I watched Joy something. Dennis said it was essentially kind of like Hangover, but with all like a female cast of Asian people. I did not like it. Joy something. That had a pretty good review on Rotten Tomatoes and other stuff, but man, I thought it was it was alright. I don't know. It was like meh. We don't have any reviews. I don't think there's just enough people to watch it yet. So we don't really have anything on the tomato meter or the audience score. Is it called Joy Red, right? Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was okay. I don't know. I think it was just the main character. I didn't really vibe with her. She's from Beef. Do you remember Beef? She was the annoying neighbor who reported she was the annoying neighbor who reported Allie, what's her last name again? Allie. Oh fuck, I can't remember things right now. No, not Joy Luck Club. Oh, I love Joy Luck Club. That was one of the greatest movies I watched when I was a kid. Fudge. What's her name? Ali Wong. Oh yeah, Ali Wong. Yeah, remember there was like another character, another like Asian character, and she was the neighbor of Ali Wong's, but then she was also Ali Wong's potential future partner's sister-in-law. Oh my god, that connection right there. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't really vibe with her, I guess, the main character. Do more when you can. You eat good. I mean, for the most part, though, the food that I eat, I usually eat pretty healthy food. But yeah, I just like, I think like because I only show all the food that we eat when we go out and eat, it looks like we always eat well. But I don't know. It's mostly just healthy food. For me, I think it's just easy just to cook chicken breasts, get some bell peppers, maybe some kale. You know, that's about it, and then have some this prison bread that I've been eating. It's so good. I just call it prison bread because the guy apparently did like 15 years and he came out and he worked for his family's bakery and then made this amazing bread and then sold the company out. But yeah, oh my god, so good. She's from Emily in Paris. Oh, I didn't watch Emily in Paris. I heard the show was kind of cringy. I haven't watched it. I will say though, have you guys seen The Bear on Hulu? I used to work in a restaurant, so like watching anything from like the restaurant industry, like The Menu, The Bear, or even like The Pig, right, with Nicolas Cage. I love movies like that. But The Bear's pretty good. Yes, Dave's Killer Bread. Yeah, it's so good. I get the green one. It's so delicious. Have you seen the trailer for No One Will Save You? Nope. Let me see. Is it scary though? Sinister is out right now for me to rent, but I heard that it sucks. No One Will Save You trailer. Oh wait, hold on. No, I forgot. I'm streaming on YouTube. I can't watch this on YouTube. YouTube will ding me. We can't watch the entire trailer. We can watch it on Twitch though. Okay, that's the trailer right there. Can't watch it on YouTube. You binge Emily in Paris? You recommend it? So you must like the movie Waiting then? Oh, Waiting. Oh my god, Waiting is so fucking gross. Waiting's entertaining. It's entertaining, but I don't know. It's just so gross. a lot of good memes from Waiting. A lot of good memes. It's good bread. I just wish it wasn't expensive. Yeah, it's so expensive. Even when it's on sale for $6.99. But I buy it though because the bread is just so good. It's so chewy and like it's so delicious. Oh my god. Oof, glutton. You liked it? There's also The Nun 2 that's out right now in theaters, but I don't know, man. The Nun 1 was so bad. It was so bad. I was so disappointed because the nun in Conjuring was so creepy. I loved her vibe in there. But when she had her own movie, they made her so cheesy and just not scary. Oh, for Chad Dorman. So apparently he did make an appearance in court. I couldn't find the live stream for it. I think it was last week. And I think the update for that was his trial is scheduled for I think July or something of 2024. Let me see. Did I write it down anywhere? Chad Dorman. Yeah. His trial is scheduled for next year. Chad Dorman. We have so many of this. Yeah, did they live stream that? Because I didn't see it. Maybe it's up now, but they live streamed it. Or sorry, they did a hearing and I didn't see it. We have Chad Dorman 75922. Yeah, on September 22nd, right? Pre-trial stuff. Yeah, July 2024. Oh my God. Amazing memory that I have. How did I remember that? Yeah, July of 2024, which I was surprised. I thought the trial was going to happen a lot sooner than that. But you know, maybe they're busy over in Ohio or maybe something happened. Death penalty. Yep. The crazy thing was, I think after Chad Dorman, maybe either they started reporting more on family annihilators or more people are just committing crimes where they're just eliminating their families. I don't know, it's crazy. Yeah. 2024. That's a far ways. I think for this year we have Ashley Banfield, we have the Murdoch State financial stuff in November, and then possibly maybe Sarah Boone in December. That's all I've got for this year. Yeah, so Schabusiness sentencing already happened. Oh, Corey Richards scheduling conference, but that's really nothing much. But yeah, so potential trials for this year again. We have Ashley Banfield, possibly Sarah Boone, and then also Murdoch state financial crimes. That's what we got. Gonna be interesting, but we'll see. Everything just keeps pushing. She makes Emily in Paris watchable. Oh, who does? Took me forever. Oh, Ashley Park, the neighbor in Beef. My daughter's been watching her since Disney. Wait, she's in Disney? Really? Oh, I didn't know that. The Sarah Boone one is going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be a shit show. It's going to be a shit show. But yeah, it'll be interesting. If he gets a second trial, am I going to stream it? Man, I mean, I'm going to have to because I want to know what happens, but it's going to be so frustrating to see because the way that everything went down in the first trial with them initially saying he wasn't at the kennels, and then they had the Snapchat saying he was at the kennels, and then them having to make a pivot and be like, oh, wait, actually, okay, we're going to get Murdoch to testify and then say that he was at the kennels. But the reason why he did it was because he had a distrust for Sled, right? Like the way that that unraveled was just done so perfectly. I don't know how the way, and if you do a second trial, it's just gonna be a shit show, right? And then additionally to that, remember the financial stuff wasn't going to be let in, but I think it was Jim Griffin who kind of fucked up, and the judge let that in. And then also the roadside shooting wasn't going to be let in, and I think Jim Griffin kind of fucked up too and let that part in. So remember how there's a lot of things that weren't supposed to be let in the original court, but it ended up being let in because I think Jim Griffin opened the doors for both of them. Yep. So that was wild. Very, very wild. But I will say though, Sarah Boone does have a, she's got a new attorney, and it looks like the new attorney is filing some stuff. Here, I'll pull it up really quick. Ms. Boone. Let's see, Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone. Yeah, we got some stuff going on here. Looks like the judge is doing some stuff. Or not the judge, sorry, her attorney. I don't know what this is. Defendant's notice of appearance, demand for jury trial, written plea of not guilty, notice of intent to participate in discovery, demand for discovery, all favorable and impeachment information. So she wants to make sure she gets all the information, I guess, from the other side. Because I think one of her gripes was that she wasn't really privy to anything in her case. Her lawyer wasn't doing a good job at communicating, she said. He wasn't meeting up with her. She didn't know what evidence they had and all that stuff. So maybe this is her trying to get like everything. And yeah, this is followed by her current attorney, Winston Hobson. Oh, Mr. Hobson, I wish you the best. I wish you the best, Mr. Hobson. Good luck, 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 good luck. Good luck. Yeah, so she wants everything that's under the state's possession. Yeah, so we'll see how this goes, Hopefully this works out and we get no more letters. The judge gets no more letters, and yeah, we'll see. But for her trial's scheduled for December. I don't know if that's gonna happen. She's so annoying. Yeah, she seems to be insufferable. Insufferable. I demand Sarah Boone be transported in a suitcase back and from the courtroom. Let's see if she throws a fit after that. Oh yeah. All right, y'all. I think the funny comment of the day though was the shitter versus the what was it again? Shitter versus something. You predict a motion to recuse himself from the trial. I mean, lawyers can't just do that willy-nilly, They have to have a solid reason. But I don't know. I mean, I hope it works out just so we can get this shit moving along, right? The judge certainly wants to get it moving along. Rain is really on it. All right, y'all. I gotta. Oh, it's 12:30 now. Oh, spitter meets shitter. That's right. I mean, we don't know why Schabusiness was wearing that on her face. We don't know yet. I did see that the Daily Mail reported that she was wearing like a spit mask or whatever the fuck it's called. But anyways, y'all, that is it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We watched the sentencing of Taylor Schabusiness. Life with no parole. Life with no parole. And just remember, she's 24, 25 years old. Her life just went down the gutter. She threw her life away. Crazy. I'll have this live stream up, and then I don't know if I will. Maybe I'll edit it, and then I'll re-upload it as well. But I appreciate you guys for watching the vlog. I appreciate it. I've tried to do more vlogs, and other than that, I will probably go stream on Twitch. Feel free to stop by. I think this week I do want to do a stream on Twitch where we watch 48 Hours. We can watch the Idaho student murders one that they did. It's uploaded on the YouTube, so I kind of want to watch that. And then additionally, I'll see if I could find the Jennifer Howell deposition and take a look at it, because I'm pretty sure I have not read it yet. But if they do have the... Oh, sorry, not deposition. Was it deposition? Deposition? Shit, now... Okay, everything's coming to me now. Everything's coming to me now. I don't think we read the transcripts for it. But if I do find the transcripts, we might do that reading sometime this week and check it out. All right, y'all. I hope you guys have a great one. Take care. Join the Discord if you haven't already. We have a Discord section for members. Or, sorry, you don't have to be a member. We have a Discord section for you guys. And we do have a true crime section. If you guys want to post anything, feel free to post it in there. And other than that, I'll see you guys. Have a great day. Take care. Go outside, get some good rest, stretch, and, give all the love to all your bubbies. And have a good one. Bye.